welcome everybody to episode 211 of the Warhammer podcast known as Look Out Sir. I'm doing that bit at the beginning where I introduce myself, Dan. Lovely to see you as always, although obviously I can't see you. But if I could see you, I'd imagine I'd tell you how beautiful you are. Ooh, what a looker. Anyway, it's Phil, everybody. How you doing, mate?
I am good. Things are going well.
Magical. You're a looker, of course, Phil, you beautiful chap.
I'll try my best.
What are your secrets? What's the routine?
Moisturise every day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Keeps me young and fresh.
Absolutely. That's the way. That's the way. You are the most sprightly man in his early 40s I've ever seen.
That is... Well, I'll take that. I'll take that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You could pass for 38.
Oh, brilliant. That's what I like to hear. Age is inevitable.
Yeah, middle-aged men look like middle-aged men. That's what it is, you know. You can't dodge that reality. Much like you can't dodge the reality of this episode 211, where we are talking about what, Phil?
We are talking about the big reveal show, and Dan sprinkles in some little chat about his time. Sprinkles in some chat about him being at Warhammer World, but it's mostly just the reveals talk of discussing miniatures.
It's very reveal centric, but I start out by saying I went to an AOS tournament, which I won't spoil because if I start saying it again now,
just repeat yourself.
It's redundant that I say it in a moment. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it. We also have an amazing 5-star review at the end of the pod from our delightful listener, the Prank Master 56. Thank you very much for leaving us a 5-star review. Check out the end of the pod to hear that. And then, obviously, please, if you can, consider liking the podcast, subscribing where applicable, and then, obviously, if you would like to be like the Prankmaster 56, give us a 5-star review as well. And again, as always, massive shout-out to our incredible patrons who make all of this possible. Hugely indebted to you. Thank you so much for allowing us two idiots the opportunity to fill the internet with all of our blinkered and ill-informed opinions. You are the best of humans, and we appreciate you dearly. Isn't that right, Phil?
It's stupid opinions, but said with confidence. That is the Dan tactic. Well,
surely you're, involved in this as well, mate. It can't just all be me.
No, sorry. We both do it, but that's your tactic for gaming, is what I meant.
That's true. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, Phil. That's always the way. Anyway, enough of that noise. We're just going to get on with the podcast. Thanks very much, everyone, for checking us out. We hope you enjoy it. And now we're going to transition into the bulk of it, which is, Phil has already said, is just talking about the reveals and a little bit of AOS tournament fun. So, yeah, hope you enjoy. Cheers. Transitional noise. Hey all, we got the first bit of the podcast out of the way, and now we're going to actually get into the meat and potatoes, the actual topic, which is going to be the reveals from the Warhammer community blog / stream that occurred over the weekend that was. There wasn't any particular special reason why they did this, right? They just sort of did it for the sake of doing it. It's not associated to a thing. Hang on.
Oh, no, it was, I think it's Tahoma. Tahoma Bay. I think that's a thing. There was a tournament on one of the Warhammer, Opens that they do.
I mean, I was at the Age of Sigmar Golden Ticket event that weekend. They didn't do anything special for that.
No, they don't care about us in the Britons.
No, we've become
it's all about that juicy American dollars. That's all they're about now.
We've become so passé, haven't we, now, in the United Kingdom? Our Warhammer World Golden Ticket events hold little significance to the now very American-orientated business that is GW. God bless them.
I know. It's clearly working, though. But yeah, it was a surprisingly large amount of reveals, I think. It felt like they've been, backed up, ready, bursting full, ready to spill their juicy models to us.
That is it. But just to say, for the sake of saying it, I did all right at the Age of Sigmar Golden Ticket. I won 3 games. I lost 2. And then, as a result, came, I think it was 12th place overall, because I got 4 favourite game votes. I was gutted, Phil. Gutted. I missed out on 5 favourite game votes by a single vote. So I have to now speculate who I wronged. Who did I annoy? Because in Warhammer 40,000, Phil, as you know, at the Warhammer 40,000 Golden Ticket event, I came away as the most beloved player. I was going for the double. What's a hat-trick now? I don't understand football parlance. Is a hat-trick when you score 3 or is it 2?
Yeah,
hat-trick is 3. So I wasn't going for a hat-trick. I was going for whatever...
The double trouble.
That's what I was going for. But I missed out on by 1 vote. Had I gotten that 1 vote, obviously I would have got it. But I didn't, so it is what it is. But regardless, I had a great time anyway. 4, or rather 5 great games with 5 great opponents. So if you're listening, cheers Ron, cheers Dean, cheers Johnny, cheers George, and cheers... Oh, who was the last guy I played? Jack. That's all off the top of my head. That's how memorable and exciting the games were, Phil. I've remembered their names. I'll forget after this week, but for now, they're in there, memorable moments.
Oh, that's good. Well, obviously not cheers to the person that didn't give you your favourite game vote. He doesn't deserve
I suspect one. I suspect it might have been Dean, my second game. I did just win that game, It was just one of those ones where...
A steamroll.
It wasn't a steamroll. It just sort of... It was relatively unremarkable in the sense that I just sort of won. And it was like, oh, okay. Although I did win the first game as well, quite dramatically. Ron basically teleported Stormcast Eternals down from the heavens and then ran into my Iron Jaws and then just fell over dead. And it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
But I think me and Ron got on well, and I gave good energy as I murdered all of his Stormcast. So I feel like that was still a good quality game. But yeah, it could have been any of them for all I know.
Fair.
But no, mate, honestly, yet again, Warhammer World events continue to be good. Congrats to Joe from the Liam Dempsey channel, formerly of the Lookout Sir podcast. He's going to Atlanta, Phil. He's won a golden ticket.
Ooh, fancy. Yeah, he came second. He came
second overall, but because of a absurd happening, never happened in the history of the golden ticket qualifier events, the individual who won best general, as in the person who scored the most points for winning all 5 games, also got best overall because they also got a very high soft score, as they call them, the favourite player and favourite army votes. So that has never happened before. So basically, the 2 individuals that came second, Joe and this French geezer, both won golden tickets, and that's how that all went down. So yeah, well done to Joe. I hope he enjoys his time in Atlanta. But yeah, this is a recap of me playing Warhammer World events, but I just wanted to chuck it in there because it is, relevant. And I obviously wanted to praise Joe for his accomplishments. I think, and we'll post an update about this when we know more about it on social media. I think Joe and Liam is going to do some kind of live stream extravaganza to do a bit of a fundraiser because GW doesn't pay for or hasn't paid for Joe's accommodation or travel. They just gave him the ticket. So basically, they're going to do a bit of a schmoz to try and generate some money to get him out there, which is great. And there's a chance, Phil, that I might be playing on that stream. So, all the more reason. You could as well, potentially. Who knows? We could put a good word in for you. Come on down to Southampton and sling some cubes.
That's true. Yeah. Well, maybe that's worth doing. Otherwise, I'll be giving him a donation of some kind. I think he deserves to go to the Americas.
He does. He hasn't left the country since he was 18 years old. So that's a time ago. I know. Yeah. Anyway.
Hasn't been allowed back in.
That's the thing. I did say that to him. Once it goes out, I wonder whether we'll let it back in. I think we will. I think he's a good egg on the hole. But anyway, so that was interesting. But I played Iron Jaws, by the way, if anyone cares. I kind of said that much. But yeah, if you look at my Instagram, there's one post of some pictures. Anyway, let's...
Oh, cool. I don't think even I've seen that. So
there you go. Thank you very much, Phil. Right, okay. The big summer reveals from some event in America started out with some Warhammer 40,000 fun in the form of my least favourite faction thus far in the game of 40k, the Leagues of Votann. I have not been a fan of the Leagues of Votann. Phil has been slightly more sympathetic to them, although I believe he would agree with me that the squat range that has been released for Necromunda is far superior. Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
100%. But does this new range of Leagues of Votann go some way towards addressing previous complaints? And I will say from the outset, the first of the miniatures that they showed, God knows how you pronounce this, Burry Egnerson, the geezer, the Carl, or whatever they're called, with Tyranid bits all over him. He looks cool, doesn't he?
Yeah, no, he does. He's like an interesting direction because he's a bit more like, let's say, grimdark, right? He looks a bit more not just clean cut like all the other Votann.
Yeah, I think what's always interesting to me are the instances where GW have taken Tyranid miniatures, Tyranid designs, and incorporated those design elements, layered those design elements over other miniatures. So in the Leviathan box, you got the Phobos Lieutenant with combi weapon, or the Lieutenant with combi weapon.
Oh, yeah.
And that was covered in Tyranid Griblies in the similar way to this. I also believe there were some other miniatures in that box set that had some nods to the NID. So the Terminator Captain is standing on the face of a Screamer Killer Carnifex, I believe, or some other brand of Tyranid. But in both those instances, specific the Lieutenant, I never completely liked the way that they kind of bolted the NID parts onto the Marines, because I think the NID bits have almost kind of, I don't know, they don't look, because they don't necessarily share all the same design cues, they're quite almost cartoony in a way, or at least I perceive it that way, and they looked that way when they've done this in other instances. But here, I think it works quite well. I think the organic armor plating of the Tyranid Warrior or Tyranid Prime or whatever this thing is that's strewn upon this Leagues of Votann Carl miniature actually works quite well. I think it's quite pretty. I'm in favour of it. It's definitely one of the nicest looking Leagues of Votann things I've seen in ages. I think it's a pretty solid miniature overall, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few bits. I think it's a little bit fussy, and the silhouette from the front's not particularly strong. Like when you look at the basically the Tyranid head and the sort of golden ornament that's like its mouth tongue thing coming out, bit alien-esque. Like you can't really appreciate that from the photo that they've given us from the front. But then obviously the back, where it's just all carapace armor and a cloak, I think works a lot better. My point is, I think this would look way better in like person in 3D when you can actually sort of appreciate the dimensions of it. The sort of flat nature of the photo doesn't necessarily do it justice, but I think overall it's pretty cool. Like I like his sort of mask that he's wearing and his like sort of war gear and like his sort of armored hand and slightly bare arm and like the sort of spear he's got. It's all promising. This is all quite cool, I think, as Votann goes.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think at the end of the day, it's, a really cool adaptation on the kind of HQ Mini. Definitely has the appearance of being a named character and not just an alteration or ever so slightly adapted version of, the main Carl kit. Because that was always...
Oh, right. Yeah,
what was the name of the geek? I don't expect you to remember, but they basically, when they did the first wave release, basically the box set that makes like the Captain HQ, whatever that called thing, made a named character variant, and that never seemed that impressive to me. It was always a bit like underwhelming with how that character was given the character or named character status, when really it was just the same mini, but, with a slightly different loadout. This at least kind of stands on its own as its own thing, which I am in favour of.
That's true. And I like the sort of the meta narrative about it, that, he has survived the Tyranids, and like that is what the how the squats got squatted, basically, in the lore, is that they all got devoured by Tyranids. So for him to be like the sole survivor of that, and it was obviously not all of the squats or the Votann, it was just one of them, one of the leagues, I guess. You see, yeah, that's quite a cool bit of storytelling.
That's a nice nod, to be fair. That is cool. But yeah, outside of this character, it's a bit of a mixed bag. So the next on the list is their other character, which is some geezer with a big gun. It's all right. The helmeted version works quite nice. To be fair, even the unhelmeted version is okay. It kind of just looks like the medic from Team Fortress 2, some TF2. So yeah, it's okay. I mean, by Leagues of Votann standards, it's pretty good, but I'm not a huge fan of it. I mean, what were you thinking with this one?
He was reminding me of, is it Dr. Robotnik from
Sonic the Hedgehog?
Sonic.
Okay.
Or he's the professor guy from Mega Man.
Which one,
Those
Dr. Light or Dr. Wily?
Oh, I don't know it well enough.
Oh, okay. It's
the one that was in the games.
Well, they were both in the games, but
him.
Dr. Wily is probably what you're going for. He had more of the spiky up hair.
Yeah, that's sort of the general sort of vibe I get from this. Like, this is what it's a nod to. Now, I don't know if that's accurate or not. I don't know. I mean, the helmet version I'm not massively keen on, but it's quite interesting because it's a different sort of helmet from what we've seen. And the sort of mad weapon is kind of cool. And the I like the covering on the cabling. That's quite novel. It's got a very sort of scientific vibe to it, which is, I can sort of understand where you're getting the Team Fortress sort of.
Yeah. Well, because the medic / doctor in Team Fortress has like the healing gun, and it sort of looks very similar to this. I'm almost getting a kind of like, because again, it's just some person in a kind of, kind of hazmat suit. Maybe it's like gives off the vibe of those scientists that took E.T. away in the movie E.T. There you go. Another terrible but perfectly viable reference. But yeah, apparently this is some mad experimental weapon, and this character doesn't even join units. He just stands near them and shoots his crazy weapons with relative impunity. So, I mean, I like the idea of it.
Cool as a concept. I like the idea of characters just being characters rather than buff pieces for units. So that's cool to see. I'm not massively sold on the mini, but I think it is slightly. It's in the upper half of Votann minis, if I was to categorize.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's definitely in the upper half. It's not offensive. It's nowhere near as good as the Nid geezer, but it's fine. The scale of it will be interesting to see, because Votann is one of those things you're often reminded of how titchy they are. So I'll be intrigued to see how much GW is charging you for this singular, relatively small geezer. But at the end of the day, he's got an appropriate amount of gubbins and probably has enough head swaps and things that it might be worthwhile. The next is the strategist. I don't understand what's going on with the strategist's pose, because the pose you would assert is the one that people do with like their index fingers, right? But he's kind of doing it with his thumbs.
Like the pyramid.
Yeah. So like,
it's the TED Talk pose.
Is that normally the way people do it? Is they sort of like get the thumbs and kind of like?
I don't know. I think there's a bunch, but who knows if that's a.
Well, I assume they were going for the classic Lenny from the Simpsons meme, where he's doing the steepled fingers and kind of
like this, maybe
listening intently.
But you're right; it's not the thumb.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
whatever the.
No, I think it is correct, but it just.
Anyway, whatever the case, I'm not a fan of this one. I know it's okay. I really don't like the Quaid. What's it called? What was the mutant creature from? Oh God, why have I forgotten the name of it now? Total Recall. What was the mutant creature from Total Recall? The one that was like Quaid.
Oh, I can never remember.
They recently did a Rick and Morty episode where Morty became one of them. But anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is, he's got weird little T-Rex arms coming out of his gut, and it looks really, really weird.
I thought it was very odd to have basically crotch arms.
Well, yeah.
It's very sort of old school 40k. I'm surprised they've done it here. I don't want to say Games Workshop is family friendly, but I feel like the direction of it has gone ever so slightly more family friendly. So to do something that is, crotch hands, I think that's very odd. It's a very odd choice. Weird.
I think it's called.
I like the little sort of floating things
nodes
on his backpack.
It's supposed to be like other. Yeah, it's supposed to be like
cool.
Many artificial intelligences wrapped up into one thing, which again probably explains why it's like the. Is it Quato? Is that what he's called? Anyway, it doesn't.
Oh,
anyway,
maybe.
The point is I'm not mad keen on it. It's got too much going on. None of it feels like it's especially strong, and the overall sort of pose of it doesn't really work. And I don't understand Votann with data slates. It doesn't feel like right for them. I understand when like a human or an Imperium character has a data slate. It feels totally weird that a sentient, artificial, intelligent robot brain would need some kind of...
I sort of love it in the weirdness because it's quite wrong, and that's sort of like what a lot of the 40k sort of technology logics are. But this is coming from a robot who's literally wearing robes. What do you expect? But yes, I don't like it from that point of view. It's like, I don't think he should be wearing robes because he's a robot. He doesn't need them. And likewise, I guess by that logic, he doesn't need the data slate. But in the sort of slightly obscure and weird 40k aspect to it, it sort of does make sense.
No, indeed. I mean, on the topic of not wearing robes, I guess if he wasn't wearing a robe, he would be one of these iron skin steel jacks. And I don't hate these, by the way. I don't love them. I think this is one of those things that you just kind of have to get used to. They look like the Man of Iron that they had in Blackstone Fortress. It's fine. I think, again, it's a really odd design. And again, I'm not mad keen on it, but I don't dislike it. Again, by the standards of Leagues of Votann, this is actually okay. The standard first wave of Leagues of Votann was pretty awful. Compared to that, this is okay, but it's not, this is the thing. Games Workshop would not be a are they billion these days or whatever it is? Games Workshop would not be the big successful business they were if this was their flagship product. It kind of looks like Halo Master Chief men mixed with, again, to be fair to your statement, like kind of Dr. Robotnik egg robots and stuff. It's like it's if Dr. Robotnik made Master Chief in a robot form. It's very strange, but I don't hate, but I don't love.
It's very unsquats-like. It's like you've taken the archetype of the faction and you've gone, let's compensate and give us taller robots because we can't reach the top shelf. I don't know. I'm not into them. I sort of like aspects of them. And in a way, if this was like a standalone faction, or if these were the only robots Votann had, I would probably like it more. Like the little domed heads, I think are cool. Good. The one on the right that doesn't have a shoulder pad, that sort of just rubberized shoulder looks really odd to me because it doesn't have a shoulder pad and all the others do, so it sort of feels like it's missing something. It's like the arm feels much lower down in the sort of arm socket than where it should actually be. But yeah, I don't know. It's odd. It feels like, because obviously you had they made the comparison on the live stream to Wraithguard. And then obviously we've had the Thousand Suns sort of robots come out recently. Yeah. So it feels like there's a sort of a weird push for these like not quite dreadnought-sized robots that a lot of factions have that are just slightly larger than normal guys. Yeah, it's an odd one. It's just really weird.
I mean, they're infinitely better than the Thousand Sun robot things, but and obviously they've got like a load of different weapon options. It seems that you can it looks like just the leader has a set of combat weapons, and then the other participants bring these big guns. But yeah, it's fine. It's just really uninspired. It's like really generic. Not very, like, if I didn't know this was Warhammer 40,000 and I was seeing it outside of that context, I'd just be like, oh yeah, just generic sci-fi. That's the thing that's sort of underwhelming about it. It doesn't feel, appropriately of that world. But then, I think that's one of the kind of weird issues with Votann on the whole anyway. Although then you do see things like, again, the Tyranid geezer at the start who, has sort of stuck the landing and does look good for it. But yeah. One that you're probably excited about because of your affinity for subterranean ballistics via the old mole launchers that the Krieg had. We've got the Earthshakers. So we've got the Chthonian Earthshakers. It's more of those awful Chthonian Berserker miniatures. So every aspect of that is a hard no for me. I really don't like them, and I still don't like them here. I think they're really bad and very silly designs. But I quite like the gun. I like the whole kind of concept of the the as I say, subterranean kind of ballistics. I like the fact that you got bases with the drills kind of blasting out through the earth. I think all of that's super fun. So I'm there for that, but the actual crew leaves me really cold. But the gun itself looks cool.
No, I think you're right. So this harkens back prior to even the mole launcher from Krieg, because that was based on the old mole launchers from Squats. So Squats did actually have these. Definitely, I think they were in 40k. I definitely remember them being in Epic as well. So it's great to see them back. These are obviously like way larger. I think you're right. The design of the weapon's really cool. The crew is a bit uninspiring and the posing's not great. It is a bit odd that one of them would just be carrying an axe.
Well, I suppose he's there to defend, isn't he? He's there running defense.
I mean, I guess, but it's, I mean, I guess so. I don't know if these are a set of two, or because it says each is served. So yeah, maybe it's two. Because I was wondering if these are alternate sculpts or not, but it seems like you just get two of them. The mini tokens, I'm not really a huge fan on, because the way they describe them on the stream was like, oh yeah, they're just next to the actual crews and the weapons themselves, and that you just remove them as a gaming token. And it's like, but they're popping out of the ground, so visually they should be somewhere on the battlefield doing something. So maybe that's just a bit of cognitive dissonance between what the model does and how it's being used on the tabletop.
Yeah, I guess the issue is that because of the way the 40k game mechanics work, essentially where it would pop up, it would explode, right? That would probably be the situation.
Yeah.
So that token wouldn't really actually have any gaming function. So it's almost like the designer had bits left on the sprue and thought, oh, maybe this would be fun for them to work with. And then because of the current restrictions or kind of core design philosophies of current day 40k, they're like, can't really do anything with that. Or at least we've not come up with an idea that makes sense for it. So yeah, we'll do it in reverse, weirdly, which is odd.
I mean, it's sort of cool, but in a way it would have maybe been better off to have them on like a smaller base, and then the actual the ammo crates of the tokens, and then you take those off maybe.
Yeah. Oh well.
But yeah, I mean, it's a fun novelty, I guess. But it's just, those little tokens aren't doing it for me. But the gun itself,
the gun is cool. I think if you could crew it with a cooler range of miniatures, it would be sweet. But yeah, and again, also as well, why is it that it's the Chthonians using this stuff? It's sort of like the weird thing where it's like, and again, I
because they're the miners. I guess.
Maybe I appreciate I've not really spent enough time educating myself on the fluff of the Votann, mostly because, well, anyway, it doesn't matter. But the point is at least externally looking in, I would assert that these are the kind of berserker melee specialists. I know they already had weapon crews in their berserker squads, but when you call something Chthonian berserkers and you present the idea that these are the kind of brutal, aggressive, fighty ones, they give you the troll slayer kind of aesthetic. It's weird that they'd just be operating guns from way far away. It's sort of like the archetype just doesn't make any sense to me. It's like we've established these in the world as kind of like melee specialists or aggressive, powerful fighters, and here they are operating undoubtedly out of line of sight, indirect fire weapon. It just doesn't fit for me. But whatever. Enough said about that. Last of the new things, other than the Codex cover and the Combat Patrol, is they've got a new tricycle in the form of the Caprices, which is basically like a quad bike with weapons on the back of it. Much better than the Space Marine ATV. That is a given.
I don't know about that.
I think it's much better than the ATV, mate, but I don't think it's good. I just don't think it's as bad as the ATV. I think it's fine. It doesn't really massively offend me. It's just sort of, it's fine. It kind of reminds me of the anti-gravity kind of cycle / transport vehicles they had in Akira. Do you remember in Akira where they were being pursued by police officers underneath in the subway system, in the sewer system, and they had all that? Yeah, that film. Basically, it kind of gives me sort of similar kind of design notes to that.
It's very similar to the ones from The Matrix.
Oh, really? Well. Which one? I only ever watched the first Matrix.
Oh,
well, that's not true. I did watch the other two once while incredibly drunk in a cinema in my early 20s, when that was the kind of thing that you did. And I remember nothing about it because I just remember, well, those were terrible, never again.
The actual sort of, when they're in the real world, the ships that they're flying around in have these circular sort of magnetic anti-gravity.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
They have loads of electricity. Because they have like the EMP to stop the tentacle things.
Did you ever finish a night out, Phil, back in your early 20s, in the early noughties or mid noughties at the cinema? Because it was weird back then, wasn't it? Cinemas were open until like 5 a.m. back in old days.
I did a couple of like late night screenings, like that was specifically, I think, horror shows and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, no, I remember going to watch SpongeBob SquarePants the movie at like 3 a.m. It was brilliant.
No, I don't think any of my cinemas are normally open that late.
Where I went to uni, that was the thing. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Overall, a bit of a miss there, but fine. It's a vehicle. Who cares? League of Votann.
Well, no, like, can I just say, like, I don't understand. Well, one, I think it's terrible design. Is based on the trike, which I also thought was terrible design. But also, they have enough transports as it is. They've got a big transport and they've got a little transport. Do they now need an even smaller transport? Like, I don't know, as a Votann player, if you're really crying out for yet another transport when you already have quite a few decent options.
Yeah.
It just seems like such an odd thing to do. Like, if this was like just a mobile sort of gun platform like the ATV, I would sort of understand it more. But it's also really similar to, because they did the trikes and then they did the slightly bigger one, wasn't there? Where you had the guy on the back shooting. Yeah, that was part of the squad. That was
so one in three of the squad had a guy on the back with the gun. Yeah. Well, the whole squad. I can't. It's so rare I pay any attention to the Leagues of Votann.
I thought it was, you had the Outrider bikes.
Let me look.
What are they called, Outriders?
Let me look.
And then you had the trikes, which came out later.
Leagues of Votann. Yeah, so there was one specific. Oh no, do all the trikes? Yeah, so one of the trikes has a fella on the back, and then the other ones are just regular bikes.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, I agree with you. I don't really understand what archetype it's fulfilling. They already have stuff that does this. Doesn't look especially great. It's a bit of a miss. Yeah. The Codex cover is fine. It's, in keeping with current Codex covers. It features the new character, and they've done an excellent job of taking all the personality out of him and making him into a really dour, very stilted, really underwhelming adaptation of him. But it's fine. It's not. It's far from the worst Codex cover we've seen for Warhammer 40,000 this edition. So yeah, and then lastly, it's the Combat Patrol, where you can be reminded of how silly the other miniatures were. These ridiculous turtle geezers, I still don't understand. Just madness. Admittedly, though, the geezers with like the exo skeletons, the kind of lifter suits, the Elysium style design, I like them fine, but everything else there is very, very underwhelming.
I would say this is probably the best elements of the Votann range to me. Like the regular guys I quite like, and the exosuits I really like. The turtle suits, like the exo armor, or what was the exo armor? The egg guys. Yeah, they're okay, but they're not as good as I would have liked personally.
Yeah, no, they're
but they're definitely slightly better than some of the other things in the range. That's fair. Notably the trikes.
Yeah, well, indeed. So yeah, on the whole, I mean, for the Leagues of Votann reveals, if this is the sort of thing you like, then I imagine this is going to be the sort of thing that you like. For me, it's not turned my head. This is not the beginning of me thinking that I need to be collecting Leagues of Votann. But at the same time, I respect the fact that GW has done right by the range and actually given us a Wave 2 and supported it and, given people the chance to expand the range. I think if they do end up doing a FOMO box of this stuff, which it doesn't look like they're going to, and probably for the best, because I don't think they'd sell very many of them. But again, if you were sold the first time around and you got a huge collection of Leagues of Votann based on the last release, I'm sure you'll be excited to add these units to your established collection. But as I say, I think if you're not already playing Leagues of Votann, you're probably not gonna. This release probably isn't going to massively spark your interest, but it's fine. It's nowhere near as good as the similarly recent Sisters of Battle Wave 2. That was a far superior second wave of things. But then Sisters have just been a much better range on the whole. So, yeah. Not for me, but again, if you like it, good for you. Next is something that technically, I suppose, is for me, which is the Tomb Kings. I just got my Tomb King army back, by the way, Phil. I sent it off for commission. Just got it back. I specifically paid Joe to build it and do base coating and very, very basic work on it. So I can put it on the tabletop and play it now. And no one could say that I haven't painted it, other than obviously the fact that I haven't painted it myself. I paid Joe to paint it. But no one could look at it and go, oh, that's not painted. It is painted, but I still need to do a lot of work on it to get it to a standard that I think is more appropriate. But for what it is, it's fine, and I'm excited to start playing Old World with it. And I'm extra excited to seek to add the new Royal Heralds to the range, because we've now basically got a new company or standard bearer. So what are they called now? The BSB. Is it the battle standard bearer, or I've forgotten the flipping terminology.
Yes, I think that is right. Yeah,
the battle standard. Yeah. So we've got a new BSB, which is super cool and looks stunning. Like the geezer wielding it is really, really cool. And the chap riding on the skeletal steed is also amazing. When you consider that all the other skeletal steeds that you have in your Tomb King's range are all based off of, or are in fact, the old bony horses from the 90s, seeing a new character riding upon a more kind of modern skeleton mount is pretty incredible. So yeah, this guy is definitely going to stand out against your existing range of skeleton horses, but looks phenomenal. And also what's interesting as well is that because the battle standard bearer up till now has been a skeleton, right? Whereas this is clearly more of a lich or more of a tomb king, I suppose. So it's more of a somewhere in between, more of a ghoul than a skeleton.
Oh right, yeah. He himself isn't just a skeleton guy.
Yeah. He's one of the Lich King type or Tomb King types.
He's got a bit of flesh on him.
He's got a little bit of rotten flesh, but yeah, that looks stunning. Very excited to add that to collection. And then you've also got new Lich Priests, which is great because at the moment there's not a huge amount that you can buy. There's one little titchy geezer that doesn't really kind of fit the bill. So now the idea of expanding that with these new fancy looking.
Isn't there one on the zombie dragon?
There is one, yes. So there is the one that comes on the bone dragon.
Bone dragon.
And then the only other one. And then there's a named character one that I forget actually the name of, who's one of the more modern sculpts. He's stunning. But this is just cool that they've expanded that as well. And I really, again, love the way that they designed the mount. I love the fact that the kind of more combat-based one has got the horse kind of bound up on its rear legs and is seemingly, commanding a heroic charge, or well, as heroic as emotionless skeletons can give you, charge forwards. And then the Lich one is entirely static. Like, I really like that little bit of storytelling in the miniature design. Because again, that's kind of what you would imagine of the Liches, that they would, be brought to battle upon their steed, and then it would very dutifully stay perfectly still while the Lich, performs utterly devastating magic and causes all sorts of mischief. So I really love those minis. I think they look great. But why don't you tell us how you feel about them, mate? Because I've waxed lyrical enough on those ones.
Well, no, you're right that they're all really good. It's all great to see that Games Workshop can actually do modern sculpts with just like bone horses, like just all skeletons. Because obviously we moved away from that, from just classic skeletons, both in the case of like humans and horses, when you look at like the AOS range and stuff like that. And I always wondered if it was like a sculpting issue with like how fragile they would be. But it's good to see that actually can be done. I think obviously it was a bit of a design aesthetic choice to move away from that sort of stuff as well. But yeah, no, it's like phenomenally how sort of well detailed they are. Did they say if they're in plastic?
They did, yeah. They're both.
Oh, yeah, arriving with the new plastic kits. They are, yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, no, they look really, really nice. Again, they'll look a bit out of place next to the majority of your Tomb Kings. I'm now terrified that they're going to do a whole new refreshed Tomb Kings range, much like they've just done the fantastic cafe range. It's going to be like, oh, people seem to like this.
Oh. Well, yeah. Well, they will do one day. Yeah, if it's selling well, that is what everything will get a range refresh eventually.
Yeah, probably. But anyway, it is what it is. I'm very excited to get playing it. I'm really happy with these minis. Definitely adding them to my collection. We're also getting a new Arcane Journal, the War of Cetra's Fury. So this will obviously include rules for the new minis, but then we'll probably have various faction-specific, army-specific builds that you can use. The Arcane Journals are really nice. I really like them. I think they do a really good job of expanding the world and injecting some thematic flavour into your army. So, yeah, super cool. And we're also getting one for the Grand Cafe as well. So they're going to be getting the Dawn of the Storm Dragon, which is exciting for them also to get that. Because currently I believe they don't have an Arcane Journal. They just have, or they do have an Arcane Journal, but it's basically just their rules, I think.
The main rules. Yeah, so I think their first one was pretty much just for Codex, I believe. There might have been some extra stuff in, but then I guess this is like an extra one with some being much more like the other Arcane journals, and it's sort of like an interesting format. And if they keep doing it, it's a very easy way to just expand models without having to redo a new codex, but also like different flavors and variations and themes of armies, which I think is quite cool.
Yeah, but a year and a half from now, they're just going to make it all redundant and replace it with a whole new rule set, right?
Yeah, that will be frustrating if they do that. But in theory, if they just build on this, I think when you get to the point where each army's got like 5 of these, you'll probably be desperate to have them all wrapped up into an actual codex. And I think in a way that was sort of the only real miss of for me, a real miss of the edition, where you haven't really got individual battle tomes. It's like you've got to buy the Forces of Order, Forces of Destruction, etc., which is just a bit much, and it's just like a big weight to carry around if you're wanting to use a physical media to play the game.
Yeah, but I think, again, the game's a bit different in that regard. I think it's one of those things where, again, I know people take it really seriously, the old world, and there's some very hardcore competitive players for fantasy. If you watch any of Dr. Luke Baxell's coverage, he's an individual who is extraordinarily competitive in his mindset, and he obviously has a number of followers and fans who share his perspective. I just enjoy listening to him rant about things. I think he produces really amazing deep dives on the state of the game and things. I think he's great. But yeah, I think that's the thing. For me, Old World isn't that game. I think Old World to me is just a fun game to play for fun, where it's more about the setting and the world and more of the fun narrative stuff. But I appreciate I might well be in the minority there. But yeah, and the reason why I bring that up is as a result, I don't mind having weighty tomes and having a bit more of a back and forth communication with my opponent about what stuff does and how these, sequences will unfold.
Fair.
But yeah, mate, on the end of the day, Tomb Kings is it's 4 miniatures, but they're all fantastic. It's really exciting to see what's going on with Old World. I'm really excited to get playing it properly now that my army's up and together. Really keen to see how the game continues to progress. But that's a slam dunk for me as far as I'm concerned.
The
next one's nearer and dearer to your heart, Phil. It's an Age of Sigmar topic, and it is the Forces of the Flesh Eater Courts, which I appreciate is less your bag, but also the Nighthaunt as well. So I'll just do a little bit of a spiel on the Flesh Eater Courts and then shut up and let you talk about Nighthaunt. I love the Codex cover for Flesh Eater Courts. I don't know what it is about Age of Sigmar covers on the whole, but I just think they do a better job of bringing them to life than their 40k equivalent. I don't know what it is or why that is, but I just think they just nail it better. And the Flesh Eater Court cover looks really, really cool. The evocative, kind of crimson red with the, impassioned, standard bearer jumping up over all of the kind of ghastly ghouls that are looking out kind of aimlessly. It's a beautiful image. The new kind of falconer guy is proper mad. It's I love the whole weird story the idea that this is Bretonia. I love all of that stuff. I think it's absolutely mad that these guys are just off their nut thinking that they're these noble knights from the old world when in fact they're all these cannibalistic, brutal, horrific monstrosities. And I think this is beautifully personified in that. I don't love the miniature. I don't think it's one of the best I've ever seen, but it's got a lot of personality and it really speaks to the absurdity of the idea of what Flesh Eater Courts represent. And I think that's what I really like about it. On the whole, I think it gets more right than it gets wrong. And I imagine it'll look better in 3D than it looks photographed. But yeah, there's something about the kind of posing of it and the way the sort of the weight of the cloth and things moves in the way that it does. I don't know. It sort of feels like the way that they've managed the kind of posture and flow of it isn't quite right. But at the same time, it's a cool, fun concept, and I'm there for it. So for me, I'm liking what I'm seeing with Flesh Eater Courts. I'm very excited to see what they do in game, because at the moment they've been a consistently okay faction, and I think a lot of people have enjoyed playing them because the big king hero character is quite strong, but nothing else really has kind of captured people's imagination. Whereas I feel like a new battle tome will go some ways towards addressing that. But what's your vibe on our Falconer? You into it, or not your bag?
It's a cool concept, and I think the second wave of that we've had of Flesh Eater Courts has really sort of reinvigorated like how interesting they are, because as you said, they have this background of basically being like sort of mad knights, effectively Bretonia, but they've devolved into ghouls.
Yeah.
But it was never represented on the models, whereas now that kind of knightly element is being actually brought into the miniatures, which is fantastic. The model's a bit of a miss. Part of me thinks it's maybe the paint job, because it's just all shades of brown. He's on a brown tree, the bat wings are brown, his hat is brown, his fabric is brown, his fur is brown, and it's like, just put a bit of colour into the model. So yeah, I don't know, it could be a good model, but I'm just not keen on the paint job. But yeah, as you say, there's something slightly off about it.
Yeah, he's got that Xbox 360 era video game aesthetic where everything had to be brown. The whole kind of Gears of War situation. No, I hear you. I quite like the fact, though, that in place of a falconer's glove, like one of those padded gloves, he's just got some kind of fleshy entrails. I think that's quite cool.
Yeah, no, that is true.
And then they've also got a new spearhead, which looks really bad. I don't mind the Warcry warband, and I really like the character with the bony necklace stuff. Like, I think those elements are okay, but those ghoul things that they've chucked in with it, the big, that ain't the one. Those are not the finest.
They're quite dated models, but they're very well painted in terms of how they're presenting them here. But yeah, they're pretty old minis.
I guess it's them just going, please buy these, please, because it's a way of trying to shift them, I suppose.
Before we do them,
yeah. Spearhead is fun though, definitely worth playing. So yeah, and then we got the Nighthaunt. What's your vibe on the cover, mate? I'd love to hear your opinions.
It's okay, but I'm not wowed by it. Like,
I'm the same, mate. I think it's a bit of a miss, and I think the thing is I think it's because the posture / silhouette again of the character, it's a very difficult to define image, because his head is in his torso, which is Nighthaunt-y, but it just sort of doesn't really work. And the way that they've sort of done the face design is really underwhelming. He looks To me, the focal point isn't the head. It's like his elbow, because that's the bright glowing bit and the body is the glowing bit. So your eye's actually drawn away from the sort of the helmet head that he has. Yeah. I mean, to me, the Blade Geist, I think they're called, is I've got a unit of them, but I'm not like a fan of that sort of sculpts. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, but it just it feels like it's lacking depth. It underwhelms,
and there's sort of nothing else. It's just like them on a plain purple background, and there just happens to be one other guy in the background, and that's it. There's no one in the foreground, which is normally what you get. Yeah. There's not really much background detail. There's weirdly no Nighthaunt symbol in the background, which is odd. It's just like got this sort of cracked glass effect to it, whereas the Flesh Eater Courts have their symbol in the background. So
I think there is.
I think it's because their symbol's quite small, maybe.
Yeah, it just doesn't work, does it? It's a real miss, which is a shame. I assume this is the same. I'm gonna, just because I also didn't like the Cadron Overlord cover, I'm going to assume it's the same person. It probably isn't, but
I mean, maybe, I don't know.
What do you think of the Lord Victrolic or whatever it's called?
I don't know. Like, it genuinely creeps me out. Like the sort of weird, sort of broken arms that are sticking out of his back are just sort of quite disturbing. That I just sort of look at it and I'm sort of a bit repulsed from the miniature as a whole. And actually, I like the mask thing. I'm not maybe. It's sort of like a, what was it called? Like a skull's bridle, I think, which is something they used to give to women to keep them quiet, basically. So it's similar to that. It was an actual thing. It was like a torture device. But the actual, like, if you look at like the potion and the smoke trail, like that's very cool. His actual sort of, yeah, almost if it wasn't for the arms on his back, I think it would be a much better mini. But I like the weird creepiness of the things on the back, that they just generally do something. You know, like when people have, I can't remember what, is it trypophobia or something? When you have like, you just don't like tiny little dots.
All right.
Like tiny holes.
Oh, the whole one, yeah.
Yeah, the whole one. It's sort of doing something like that to my brain with the weird broken arms. It's just very weird.
That's kind of one of the things I love about it, though, and I think that's the thing. I like all of...
Oh, no, completely.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
I think it succeeds. It's like a genuinely disturbing sculpt. It captures and distills a sort of sense of unease. Like, everything about it is very, very off-putting, down to the way that they've done like the vapor trail, the smoke trail coming from the liquid, the way they've kind of put those kind of ghoulish skeletal kind of facial features into the liquid as it's pouring out
into the smoke itself. No, that's really good. I mean, yeah.
Seeing how the sort of smoke itself almost looks like insectile as well, like it almost kind of looks like it's some kind of horrific caterpillar creature coming out of it. So it sort of preys upon.
It does have that vibe to it. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing: it arguably is a good mini. Do Nighthaunt need yet another character when they are literally overstuffed with characters? No. Do they really need to have redone the Hex Wraiths because they discontinued them from the Sublight Gravelords line and could have redone them this time round? Yes. Have we got that? No. Have they mentioned what's going to happen to them? I assume they're still going to be in the Codex and they're just going to sell that dual kit box just as Hex Wraiths now, I would assume, but who actually knows? And that they also they sort of gave some previews for these like big changes for the faction, because everyone complains that they ignore Rend and no one seemed to like that. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they play. They sort of teased us with a few ideas that they would have they've got a 5-up ward now, by the sounds of it. Their saves are maybe worse, but then they've maybe got more health, which I think the characters did need, because the characters having 5 wounds would often, 8 wounds normally for the good ones, would just be instant killed by someone doing something like, oh, I'm doing a special action with my monster, and I've just eaten you, and I've just done the right amount of damage to kill you. Thanks, Dan. So having more wounds for them to be good, but the fact that they're now no longer probably going to ignore Rend slightly annoys me, because that was like their thing.
You can understand though why it's, a bad thing. I think, I think increasing their ward to a 5-up ward is a far better solution and feels far less bad than I mean, maybe. Here's what I find really funny is, up until the General's Handbook, they were literally at the bottom of the faction, with the exception of when they first came out, when the edition dropped, because people didn't really know how to deal with them. So it feels like it's a change that maybe wasn't really needed from a sort of power imbalance. But I can see it from other players finding that quite frustrating.
So yeah, I mean, I've got to really sort of wait until I see what they're actually going to do with the rules and how they're going to affect how it's going to play, basically.
Yeah, I appreciate that, mate. But on the whole, I think the character's cool. I think the cover artwork's not very good, but I think a new set of rules for Nighthaunt will go a long way towards making them a more entertaining army, both to play and to play against. And I think that's important. You know, we've seen that similar things have kind of happened with Chaos Knights, say, in Warhammer 40,000. They've taken steps to kind of alleviate some of the issues that people had when playing against them, and that has had some positive effect, although initially, admittedly, Chaos Knights are performing really well in 40k, but that tends to be the nature of new things coming into the meta. Once I think those guys level out, I think we'll be in a better place for it, and I think we will be for Nighthaunt too, but we'll see, right? I just have a lot of faith in the AOS team when it comes to creating interesting rules or doing fun stuff, so I don't want to come at it glass half empty, but we'll see. We'll see if they can maintain my my trust when it comes to that. And again, keeping it on AOS, the big part of the reveal, or at least what we thought was going to be the big part of the reveal, seemed like it was going to be dwarf heavy. And for a lot of people, the return of the Chaos Dwarfs was a really, really significant thing. Yes, okay, fair enough. The Space Marines appear at the end to kind of steal some of the thunder, because people just love those Space Marines. But for me, the return of the Chaos Dwarfs, this Chaos Dwarf to release, still felt like the most significant part of the reveals.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm pleased to admit from the outset, I'm really happy with it. I genuinely think it's cool. My issue so far is that I think there are a lot of instances where they have chosen to have Chaos Dwarves without beards. I assume that these are female dwarves.
Lady dwarves. Yeah, I think
but
so.
I don't know for certain. But I think because of the sort of nature of the design, I think when the beards appear, it kind of, the flow of it works without the beards. And I say the same about Votann and regular dwarves. I think, you know, it just looks like a short fat geezer, and it sort of doesn't really kind of work in the same kind of menacing sort of design.
Yeah, it's like the new Caldron Overlord minis are great, but the female ones don't work quite as well.
Yeah.
And I think they have this issue here. To me, they really remind me of, is it like Ganon from the old Legends of Zelda, like the really old version of him? Because he's just a pig, right? And they look much more pig-like to me when they don't have a beard. And I've said this plenty of times before, that to me, dwarves are quintessentially, they have beards. They're short, they have beards. That is their archetype. So to take away basically one of their two main characteristics just doesn't work.
No, I agree.
For me. And there are so many of them in the range. It's, to me, a little bit disappointing. Yeah, because it's, I mean, some of them actually look really great. So the female leader of the Underworld's warband, I think looks really cool. And I think the female on top of the what's it called? The Infernal Bull. Infernal Taurus looks quite good, I think. But sort of when it's in the rank, I'd sort of much rather they be more centerpiece characters than just in rank and file. Basically, would be my takeaway.
Yeah.
From the beardless aspect.
No, I don't.
It just feels odd.
I don't disagree with you at all, my friend. I think, the leader of the Underworld's gang is definitely a cooler mini than some of the rank and file ones. We'll talk about Underworld specifically in a second, because in a couple of minutes, because there's some really cool new Sylvaneth horse people, which I love. I think those are really, really nice. But yeah, look, on the whole, it's weird, isn't it? Right? Because I think, to me, this Chaos Dwarf release is pretty much 10 out of 10. I think they've nailed it pretty much on the nose. Like, the only quibble I have is what I've already said. that I think some of the unbearded sculpts kind of rob it of something. But on the whole, I think this is pretty on the money. So the first of the minis, and we're not going to go through every one of these because there's so many of them, or we're certainly not going to go through them in crazy levels of detail, but the War Despot looks awesome. The horns are cool, the weapon's cool, the pose is cool, the fact that he's got a pistol holstered and he's got that kind of menacing...
The pistol's quite cool, I would say.
I just think he looks awesome. I mean, what's your vibe on the old War Despot? Do you think he's on point?
There's two bits I don't like. I'll say roughly what I do like about the range as a whole. I like that it is much more aligned to the classic big hat Chaos Dwarves of like the 80s and 90s, and not the Forge World ones, which were a bit more kind of grim dark, and they all had their, for the majority, just wore helmets and you couldn't see their faces at all. I mean, I like that aesthetic as well, and I think they were gorgeous sculpts. But I did like the kind of classic big hats, and these hark more back to that and the Blood Bowl team that he did quite recently. The bits I don't like about him, one of which is across the faction, and that is the globes of glowing green stuff that is the demonic essence in their weapons. I sort of don't like it because it looks very Skaven-y, and it just reminds me of like their sort of general vibe. And it's on all the weapons, and it's sort of it distracts a little bit from the weapon itself. Like, because what he's got is like a really cool weapon, but then there's this big sort of sphere directly underneath it.
It is something that the Chaos Dwarves
completely against it
have done forever, though, right? Like the Chaos Dwarves have always mucked around with demonic weaponry. That's where like the Hell Cannon and all that stuff comes from, right? And this is, I guess,
I think in the very original Chaos Dwarves, they didn't really do that at all. Then, there was the Hell Cannon from the sort of that was for Chaos
Warriors
and Warhammer Fantasy,
yeah.
and then the Forge World ones. I think when it was Legions of was it Asgarath? I think that was much more like into that whole sort of demonic area where they did sort of stuff like that, whereas the traditional original blunderbusses and the Death Shriek and they were just sort of gunpowder people. It was much more that sort of vibe. So I sort of get it. It is the sort of aeratification of the theme where they've sort of taken it slightly in a bit of a different direction. And it's the one thing that it sort of bothers me slightly. And maybe it's a colour thing, and maybe if I painted them a different colour, or it would work better. And then the other thing that bugs me specifically about this model is his. So I don't mind the bits at the bottom. So it's basically like you got these ringlets of your beard, and then they've sort of kind of encased them at the bottom. That sort of makes sense. And then if the bit in the middle with all the gems in, if they were individually like, if they were like rings that the beard was going through, that would make sense. But it's just like a big giant block, and it doesn't even wrap around the beard, because in the 360 view on the video, it stuck to the front. So it sort of logically doesn't really make much sense, and is just so over the top.
It's definitely going to restrict your movement,
smaller,
isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a bit weird. I mean, but I basically, and I think, because I'm really into Chaos Dwarves. I sort of got on the hype train last year. I bought a traditional old school Chaos Dwarf army for fantasy, like for the old world. I've got Blood Bowl team. Like I think I've always liked them because they were the
bad boys
counterpoint to, they were the bad boys, and I was a dwarf player originally, so Chaos Dwarves are like the evil version. So now I'm sort of much more about them. So I'm sort of really torn on this army as a whole. I sort of like elements of it, but there's always stuff I look at like this model and go, okay, well, I'm just going to have to convert him up.
Mate,
do I want an army where I've got to convert everything, or do I actually enjoy that aspect of it? Maybe the challenge is kind of good because I could make it my own and sculpt on beard.
I personally think that, for me anyway, they've just nailed it. I know, again, this is probably one of those situations where, you know, I'm really harsh on like the Leagues of Votann, for example, because I don't think the range works. And then by comparison, I'm really, really nice about this because I just think it works so well. And I understand I don't quite have your same history or experience deep diving into the broader fluff of the faction, but I think what I'm seeing here really impresses me. And I agree with you, the bejeweled beard thing is a bit of a weird thing on the War Despot, but when I look at like the basic kind of like the basic sort of like squads, those are the words I was looking for, the infernal cohorts, as I think they're called, I think they all look really great. I love the helmet designs. I love the overall kind of personality of it. I think the war machines are pretty good. I don't think they're the best. I think they're probably one of the weaker elements of it. But I think on the whole, they're fine. The massive engine constructs, the Dominator engines, are phenomenal. Absolutely stunning. Like, I love these things. I think they're absolutely awesome. What's your vibe on their Dreadnought-esque robot bull centaur thingies?
I do sort of like it. It's a bit, I don't know. I've seen loads of people say it's all very Warcry, or it's like, it doesn't feel very Games Workshop-y, which I sort of understand. I think I prefer the canon version more than
when you say Warcry, did you mean War Machine?
Maul one. No, I think, well, both, basically. I think I've seen people compare them both.
Warcry is Warhammer.
Here's the thing. Warcraft.
Oh, Warcraft. Right, okay, sorry.
Warcraft, sorry. Here's the thing. If you don't like smoke effects, or if you don't like painting flames and smoke and all that extra gumph, this range sort of isn't for you, because there's a lot of it, especially on those two guys. But I think I like, there's bits I really like about them, and then there's like the belly furnace I don't particularly like, but I like a lot of the other elements to it.
I love them.
It's a bit of a weird one.
I love them. I think they're cool.
Awesome. I'll say my other main criticism, and it's really bad, I think, because it's quite noticeable on this range, is the fact that everything is a dual kit. Everything is gonna, if you want to buy everything, certain units are gonna technically look different, but also be very similar.
Yeah.
So the two war machines have literally the same crew for both of them in the same poses. There's no extra crews like you got with the Votann sort of mole launcher.
Yeah, agreed.
And I don't like the actual sort of overall shape of the war machines themselves. Like the Earthshaker one Tormentor Bombard looks pretty good because it's like a giant sort of chimney hat.
Yeah.
I like that. But then the other one where they've gone, we'll just stick some rockets on top, sort of on a rack, just looks, it doesn't
the
work.
rocket one
just makes me go, how can I?
The rockets are definitely the weaker of the two, for sure. I think the basilisk-esque kind of Earthshaker cannon thing, whatever, definitely the chimney style one works. Yeah, the missile design is pretty underwhelming.
But the sort of the front plough that's a bit chariot-esque, I don't particularly like that. I'd rather it be a bit more industrial.
Yeah, that's fair.
And the female crew member just looks very flat because her pose is sort of super basic.
Yeah.
With her like hands on her hips. It's like very old school. And maybe that's what it's like referencing, is like an old school mini, but I just think it doesn't look great.
Okay.
And it's like, cool, I want one of each and my crew's going to be exactly the same on both. That's terrible. The giant Dominator engines, they've done quite a good job of hiding the fact that it's a dual kit, but like the leg poses and the arm poses are in the same place. But they've given you enough like elements like the head and the belly plate gives you enough sort of variety that it hides it. But I sort of worry that some of them will just be a bit too repetitive if you're going all in on everything.
Maybe, yeah. I think that has been quite a common complaint with a few miniatures within the AOS range. I know with Cities of Sigmar, for example, if you're taking multiple of their cannons, you have that same problem. And there is more capacity within AOS to take multiples of things. Admittedly, there is in 40k, but the thing is with AOS is they don't have the same rule of 3. So you could have armies with 10 cannons in with all the same looking crew, etc.
It's like, so the regular guys with the swords and shields are great, but then you've obviously got the guys with the spears, but they both share the same hobgrot with gong and the bull-headed guy hitting the gong. They're going to be in both. Like, I'm a real stickler for having, like, every model's got to be unique, and it's like I've sort of been painstakingly converting up all my Nighthaunt minis, which is no easy task, to make sure that there aren't, like, duplicates. So stuff like this really bugs me, sort of when ultimately it's just a cost-saving thing by Games Workshop, so there's, less sprues that they can sell to you twice, as opposed to one kit that's got extra variations in it.
Yeah, I suppose as well, though, it's that thing, isn't it, where they have to try, or they feel compelled to try and give you a more comprehensive range. They want to give you more options. Age of Sigmar.
That's true. Like, this is a big release. Like, this is a lot of options for a starter army.
Yeah. I mean, and typically with AOS, though, the fact that they've given you swords and they've given you spears doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to make 2 different units. They're just going to have different loadouts, which is also fine, because that's...
Well, I think they actually are, which is interesting, because they specifically said, like, oh, yeah, these guys are the defensive ones.
Okay.
The ones with spears are going to, I think, have anti-cavalry or anti-charge. I mean, they definitely said it about the bull centaurs, which we can get onto in a minute. But
yeah. Well, the bull centaurs are
interesting
quite
is
obviously
that
different with the head swaps and the weapon swaps, but the baseline infantry, I don't know. We'll find out when we find out, but
it'll be interesting, because normally what they've been doing is consolidating weapon profiles down to basically be meaningless for the most part.
But then they've got things
so if
like
you've
the
got swords or
Stormcast.
shields and spears and shields, it shouldn't make a difference.
Yeah, they've got things like the Stormcast, though, don't they, where it's like, oh, this is a Liberator squad and this is a whatever the spear variant squad was called, I forget now.
Oh, yeah. So they do sometimes go, cool, they're just different profiles.
Yeah, but then,
as opposed to a squad with weapon options.
But then they do sell them as separate. Anyway, we're probably going off on a tangent there. I think when it comes to this range, for me, I think it looks on point. I think the characters are all really cool. I think the Demon Smith looks really nice. I even quite like the Ashen Elder, although I think it's probably one of the weaker character sculpts. But
true.
Yeah.
And the fact that that's a dual kit, but they look completely different, I think is quite impressive.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And also the Hobgrots I love. Like, I really liked Hobgrot Slitters, even though they're very kind of basic in terms of, what they are. But I really like these Hobgrots. I think these look great. I'm probably going to pick up some of these Hobgrots to run in my Cruel Boys army as an alternate squad of Hobgrots, even though obviously they're very different from Hobgrot Slitters. But
yeah,
they look
it's
great.
weird because in the first photo of them, all but the top left-hand corner looks like they've got the same bodies. Like, the posing is the same. Some of them actually are the same because they've got the same sort of peg leg, which is a very cool bit of detail. But the standard bearer and the guy with the whip, I think, is the same body. And then the other 2 guys with peg legs are the same body. Even though, so they're not duplicates of each other, but they've done 2 very similar poses.
They definitely have duplicates in this selection. They haven't done...
Oh, yeah, but...
They haven't done as good a job as they did with the Skaven Clan Rats. The Skaven Clan Rats were ridiculous. This is more standard fare, I would say.
Yeah, but they're pretty cool. Yeah, because I think when I first looked at them, I was like, well, I'm not sure how I feel about them. They have the same issue that a lot of the Cities of Sigmar have, in that they're very angular. like that they don't have a lot of, they don't like to use round curves a lot on these designs. Like all the shields are very like sharp angles, the cloth's very sharp angles. And I sort of think I've worked out why they do it, and it could be a deliberate design choice to push them away from fantasy, but also I think it's a painting sort of method that if everything has sharp angles, even things like cloth, it's so much easier to like edge highlight things, as opposed to something with a rounder surface is a lot more trickier to sort of correctly highlight. So from a sort of, either whether that's using contrast or like regular painting techniques, I think these will be easier to paint up. But it does give it a very sort of, odd design aesthetic that I've seen people online criticise.
Well, I think that's the thing, isn't it? Because when you talk about like the angular design, I think that's really well personified in the what do they call these things again? What was their old names? The Doom Ball or whatever it was. What was this thing? The big flying...
Oh, the Centaurs.
No, the big bull.
Oh, God. Oh, the Beltaurus.
Beltaurus, yeah. So now they've got new flying big bull creatures, but they've done it in more of a kind of like brass bull, more sort of, sculpted kind of thing. So the idea is it's obviously more of a kind of demonic war machine, similar, I suppose, to the engines, and the idea being that they're some kind of chaos demon
statue come to life or something.
What's your feeling on that, Phil? I mean, how you feeling there?
I'm disappointed.
No, I honestly can't believe it. It's a cool mini, but the fact that it's so angular and it's like this weird living metal thing just pushes it into this, I don't know. I love it, mate.
Fantasy world that I don't want to be a part of.
I love it.
I would much rather it be a real creature. That's what they always were. That's what I was expecting. That's what I wanted. And that isn't this.
I love it.
It's a cool pose. I like the size. I just don't like the angle. It just looks like it would be awful to paint. Like, I'm either non-metallic metal or metal edge highlighting this would be awful. The jade sort of emerald version, I think, is better. And I've seen someone do online a Photoshop where they did it black, and I thought that looked really good as well. Even though traditionally the Tauruses were red. I've literally been every single day going back to this page and looking at the range, deciding whether I like them or not, which is a positive sign, but also a bad sign. I don't know. But I was generally looking at the Beltaurus and going, could I green stuff on muscle on top to make it look like an actual living creature? But I'm like, that is such a mad project idea.
I wouldn't do it, mate. I think it's great as it is.
It's just very Marmite-y. I think
only from the perspective that you have a number of kind of pre-established ideas about what you think this has to be and what it has been in the past. And I agree that the Forge World range did a really good job of completely reinventing Chaos Dwarfs as a concept and doing it in a completely different way. And I think the trick of the Forge World release is it was so different and so well made and so cool, it didn't really offend, whereas this is somewhat trying to evoke elements of the old while giving you a kind of more...
being different.
Yeah, because again, they're Age of Sigmifying this army. They are taking the concept of Chaos Dwarfs and bringing them into the world of Age of Sigmar. And I think they've done an excellent job of it, but I understand that someone like yourself might struggle with it. But for me personally, I genuinely think it's a really beautiful range and something that, the designers should be really proud of, because I think they've done a great job of bringing these guys back to life. And I love the fact that they're back in a game. I think Age of Sigmar is better today with this on the horizon than it was without it. I think this is a really, really great addition to a really interesting, evolving world and setting that is Age of Sigmar. I just think it's cool.
Yeah,
I really think it's cool.
That's true. Well, I was going to say the two we skimmed over, the Bull Centaurs and the Blunderbusses, they're actually really fantastic minis. I think the Bull Centaurs are probably the strongest of the lot. The ones with the maces are very cool and very kind of classic. They're sort of scaled to be like the Forge World and Blood Bowl ones. Again, they suffer from the fact that they've got these weird spherical discs of demonic energy in their maces, and I sort of feel like that slightly ruins the maces, but otherwise, that's like my one criticism of the entire models. The ones that are sort of topless but with the bull's heads on them, when I first saw them, I didn't particularly like them, and I sort of didn't like how much they were leaning into that bull iconography. But I think they are cool minis, and they've definitely already grown on me in the space of a week.
Man, I love them.
So I think they're cool.
I think they're great.
But again, it's that same thing of, cool, I'd want one of each, but I've got basic, and if I'd want to reinforce the units, that's another 3 guys. But it's like, they're all going to have the same legs, and the different unit that's meant to look very different is all going to have the same leg poses. So that is something that will
but it's
mentally bug me. But in these ones, they're hidden very well, I think, because of the top paths are so different.
As someone who's got 12 Gore Grunters, which is just basically 4 times 1 kit, I'm fine with this. Like, there's so many instances of this where that's just what it is. Like, there is a point where...
No, I know that is true. You got to let go.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, mate. Look, at the end of the day, I totally respect the fact that you are a, painter, sculptor, collector, kind of artist before player a lot of the time, and you're way more invested in that kind of stuff than I am. For me, I absolutely accept that you're going to have some duplication, but I've just accepted that's just part of the course when it comes to if you're trying to build optimized, cool armies, there will be that duplication. But it's never really, for me, it's never as big a problem in reality as I used to think it was in my head. But I do understand where those frustrations can come in for someone like yourself. But then, I would just basically say, the way you got to think about it, I guess, is if your priority is not to have duplication, then just strictly take 2 units of 3 with the different top sculpts and tolerate that maybe the legs are in the same place, because it probably won't be that noticeable. But I guess just don't reinforce the units. But you never know, Phil, as well. I will say this as well. A lot of the time, they've done a really good job of adding more poses without you realizing it. So like when you get kits now, so you build Chaos Warriors or whatever it might be, and they do have a couple of versions a lot of the time, so you never know, there could be 6 sculpts worth of torsos in this box. It seems unlikely, but it could be. And there's nothing necessarily, well, there would be, I don't know, I was about to say, you could use the fleshy tops with the double-handed weapons, but there's no way you could probably make that work. But anyway, look, on the whole, for me, I think the Chaos Dwarfs, what are they officially called now? The
Helsmiths of Hashut.
That's it, the Helsmiths of Hashut. I think it's a great release. I'm really excited for it. It's not something I'm going to buy a whole army of, but because I have Chaos, I have my Skaven collection, I'm definitely going to be keeping my eyes open for the Regiments of Renown, and I'm definitely looking for an excuse to add some cool, what are they called again? Sorry. Some cool Helsmiths of Hashut to my armies, as Regiments of Renown. That's kind of where I'm at with it. But yeah, on the whole, I think it's a slam dunk. I think they've done good there. It saddens me that you don't love it entirely, but I understand where you're coming from, mate. And I think hopefully when you start to see the miniatures in 3 dimensions in reality, you'll maybe warm to it more over time.
Well, here's the thing. I think this could be my army for AOS. I like the idea of playing a more elite, punchy army because it's the opposite of Nighthaunt. And yes, I got the Barrow Guard box set when that came out, the FOMO box, because I really liked the look of those, and I'd been collecting up from sort of like Gravelords, because I was like, I've got Curse City, so I'll buy some more stuff of that, which I've done. but ultimately the play style of it is very similar to Nighthaunt from a sort of, it's a bit more horde centric overall, I would say.
Yeah, no, that's fair, mate.
Whereas I think these are a bit more interesting. The one sort of preview of the rules that they snuck in there, which was on a, because they showed you the box cover and then there was one of the War Scroll cards, seemed quite interesting. So the War Despot, like, he does crit mortals, 5 attacks, hits on freeze, wounds on freeze, rend 1, 2 damage. That seems quite punchy. He's got a free up save, 6 wounds, and he's got some other special rules that you can't read. But I mean, part of me does feel like it could be my new army, but part of me, I don't know, I'm a bit reserved because there are things like the big centerpiece model. It's like, well, if I don't really like that, I'm a bit stuck because it feels like you're going to have to get one. Maybe once I've seen the community sort of do their interpretation of it, maybe it is just a colour scheme issue, right?
I think so. I think that's
it was interesting because I was looking like, oh, how much do the FOMO boxes cost? And then I was like, well, this is also a spearhead box. I was like, how much does a spearhead cost? Because I saw people say, are people going to buy 2 boxes of the FOMOs? And I was like, well, no, because it says it's a spearhead. So if anything, buy one of the box and then one of the spearhead, because then you're getting, because everything is a dual kit, right? So you would obviously want one of everything.
Yeah.
But basically what I discovered is that the FOMO boxes have 0 discount in them.
Oh, really?
You basically, if you look at, so for example, the Barrow Guard one, they don't have it on the Games Workshop website, but you can look at the retail price of it on Element Games, because Element Games still have some of them in stock. So you can see how much they sell it for and how much it sells for. Then you can look on Games Workshop to see how much spearheads cost. So if you take a spearhead, which is the contents of the Barrow Guard, well, not the Barrow Guard one, but what will be the same price, right, as the Chaos Dwarf one, right, if we assume that's going to be the same. If you then add on the price of the spearhead with the battle tome and the cards that they come to, though those 3 things added together is the exact same price as of the FOMO boxes.
Cheeky.
And if you do the same thing via Element Games, which obviously offer it a discount, you save like £1. So I guess it's like, how much do you actually value the limited edition Battle Tome artwork, which I think for this one I think is a bit terrible. I prefer the regular one personally. But basically you get the cards, which are kind of interesting.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Let's get moving on. On the whole, Chaos Dwarfs look cool. I haven't got very much time left to record this evening, mate. So basically, we'll prattle through as quickly as we can and focus on Space Marines, basically. Legion Imperialis has got some new vehicles, specifically the Mastodon and some other tanky tanks. Cool. Legion Imperialis is fun for the people who enjoy it. I personally was interested in playing it, and then I saw the rules and it didn't really work for me. I didn't understand why they got as granular as they did with some of the weapon profiles and things. Again, I speak to Sean about it a lot. He loves it, sings its praises, and I'm sure if you like it, you're enjoying it too, and I'm happy for you. But to me, I'm not that bothered. But it's cool to see the Mastodon. Love the Mastodon. These are nice sculpts of Mastodons. Anything you want to add on Legion Imperialis, Phil?
No, like, cool minis, but they just need to do more stuff for it. Like, this is the first time we've had minis in ages. It feels like for the range.
Yeah, that is true. Next along, they've shown more pictures of the assault squads, the Mark II assault squads for Horus Heresy. They're fine. I was impressed when I first saw them. Now that I'm seeing more pictures of them, I'm still impressed. However, the Iron Warrior colour scheme with the fleshy faces looks really weird. I think it's not great photography on their part in terms of there's a lot of emotion in these faces, but it just doesn't really work for me. But the sculpts that are just, armored up geezers looking menacing with big, heavy combat weapons is pretty cool. The jump packs themselves are pretty cool. The weird grimacing salamander sculpt that they show, or salamander colour scheme that they show after the carousel of alternate Iron Warrior sculpts looks very odd. I'm not really sure what's going on there, but he looks like he's grinning very menacingly, and it's a weird vibe. But anyway, on the whole, this is fine. Again, if you've already got loads of assault squads for Horus Heresy, you probably don't need to buy these, but you probably will because you're probably excited to get your hands on some Mark II stuff, which I guess is cool. And there definitely are some nice elements to it. I don't know. I think personally I like the existing Mark IV, Mark V ones more. I like the old ones more. Whatever Mark they were, I'm more into those. But these are okay.
Well, that was Corvus armor, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think.
In fact, these are better than okay. The weapons are really good. The fact they've got big chunky weapons is definitely cool. So yeah,
I love the extra carapace armor that they've got on the torso.
That's really nice.
Cool. I'm not a massive fan of the cabling, which I assume is the harness, the straps that go from the back down into the torso. I'm less keen on that. Did you spot the Bane-esque bare head?
The Bane
with the sort of strap that goes. Oh
yes,
the middle.
Yeah. It's all right.
That's quite interesting. The bare head that they show off next to the salamander, I think, is very cool. I'll probably have that as one of my Thunder Warriors. The shields I'm not keen on personally, but everything else is pretty cool.
So yeah, that's the Assault Marines. All good. Mark II. They now also announced that they're going to carry on doing Horus Heresy books. So we're going to have the Scouring. So after the Siege of Terror, obviously Guilliman and the other legions arrive on Terra, the Loyalist legions, after obviously all of the traitor legions flee to the Eye of Terror and the events of I forget what the Eye of Terror conflict was called. Do you remember what the Eye of Terror was? It was like a Legion War or something. I forget what they called that, but yeah,
I can't remember.
I can't remember either. But anyway, the point is that the Scouring is coming up next, so you're going to have all the interesting kind of juxtaposition of probably Guilliman turning up and being all clever as Rogel Dawn is like, hang on, mate, I defended this place for months, maybe even years. I don't know. It went very timey-wimey at the end of Siege of Terror. But yeah, so I can imagine it'd be interesting exploring the friction between, the forces of Lionel Johnson and Roberto Guilliman and who else wasn't on Terror? It was literally just those two, wasn't it? Oh, and the Space Wolves. The Space Wolves weren't there either, were they?
No, I don't think so.
But anyway, it'd be interesting to see how they start exploring that. I gotta be honest, kind of didn't want them to do any more Heresy for a bit, but obviously it makes way too much money, so I get it. And again, it's an interesting time period. I would rather see them doing Unification Wars. I like the old stuff. I want more. I want them to go back again and do Thunder Warriors and all that crazy fun.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they do. What's odd that this is still branded as Horus Heresy, and I sort of get it because it's the events directly after the Horus Heresy. It's like Horus Heresy is over.
Yeah.
This is the period known as the Scouring. So it's it really should be Warhammer, the Scouring, as the setting, as opposed to Horus Heresy. I sort of see why they've done it. It'll be interesting to see if the game will ever go into this setting as well, and therefore, make changes to armies or units, and maybe this is, or maybe it's the period after the Scouring, but when you get, 6th, 7th Ed star, 40k come up.
Well, I think this is the thing, though, isn't it? It's just them going, we've got an established brand. People know Horus Heresy. This is canonically in
People want to buy the books.
Yeah, exactly. It's the timeline. Whatever. You can buy a helmet that is modelled after Lieutenant Titus, which is the same as any Ultramarine Lieutenant helmet. So the good people of JoyToy have done that. Cool. I have purchased a novelty replica helmet myself in the past. I bought the Green Power Ranger helmet. That's me dating myself there. But yeah, so I'm not, immune to the charm.
Would you buy this one?
Nah, probably not. Nah, probably
Do you know
not.
how much it costs?
I think it's like 150 quid is what they're saying.
Yeah, with a T-shirt thrown in. It was interesting because the guy on the stream was like, go to warhammermerch.com, and it's like, that's the wrong web address, because if you go there, you go to like a sort of holding page for a like URL company or something, like a host provider. Yeah, so the cheapest one I think is like 140 with the T-shirt. Oh no, actually, there's one that's probably slightly cheaper without the stand. But yeah, all over 100 quid, which I thought was a bit much personally. But then,
no, it seems in line with
into
the
this
kind
sort of thing.
Yeah, it seems in line. It's definitely more than that Green Ranger helmet cost me, I think, but not crazy more. Inflation stuff.
I was like, I was sort of expecting it to be around 80 quid, but that's me having no understanding of how much prop stuff costs, I think.
Yeah, no, I think you were probably being a little bit wishful thinking there in these hard times, Warhammer fans have proven themselves irresponsible with their money. Thus, corporations like JoyToy will exploit that to their fullest. But again, I like it. I think it's cool. It's just not for me. I'm not really going to be falling over myself to buy a Captain Titus helmet. It doesn't really have that same kind of impact. Now, if they had done Lieutenant Titus, sorry, not Captain. If they had done because to me, if they'd done an iconic old style, third, fourth ed Space Marine helmet, when it's the grill and the classic look, the Primaris helmet it just doesn't hit the same way for me. It's cool, but and I like the design, but it's not the iconic Space Marine design as far as I'm concerned. Personally.
Well, it is now, so you just got to suck it up.
Oh, I do, and I accept it for what it is. I just like the old stuff more, But that's because
that's fair. That's fair. Maybe if it's popular enough, they do other variants.
I hope so. And then we've also got some Space Marine things. First of all, in the form of Kill Team. So intriguingly, at long last, they have done a Space Marine Kill Team that is a kill team, as in a Deathwatch kill team. How exciting, eh?
Ooh.
So they have done not only a Deathwatch kill team, but they've also done a whole new set of Necron terrain and a Necron kill team. So this is Necron terrain done in what appears to be a very similar form factor, very similar size to the the Gallo-Dark stuff, the boarding actions stuff. Now, it hasn't been confirmed. I haven't necessarily heard GW say it directly, or they may have addressed this through their social media. So I'm not 100% confident that this is one-to-one in scale and function as the old, boarding actions terrain. But logically, it looks the same. It feels like you should be able to mix and match it in, although obviously it would be a very blunt transition if you did do it, but could be interesting.
Yeah, they have different joins to them, because and I sort of worked it out, because they're being a bit sneaky, because the tops have been very carefully sanded and filled in, so you can't see how those column pieces join up. But the old ones had column toppers to hold things in place. And you had the problem that the columns, half of the column sides were flat because they were in, basically you got an L shape, two L shapes, and you stuck them together. Because the way the manufacturing process works for plastic is, you can't have sort of undercuts and stuff. What they've done here is these columns are basically made up of 3 faces, or technically 4, depending on if it's a wall or not. So actually you form them out of 4 pieces. So there's detail on every single side. And then on the pictures at the very bottom, they show you all the different wall sections, and you can see how the walls are angled to slot into these sort of Necron, almost like coffin shapes, with the sort of glowy orb in the middle, and the thing plugs into that glowy orb. I think that's how it's secured in place.
Yeah.
Whether it's the same height or not, you could sort of speculate that it is. They didn't confirm it on the stream though. And it feels like you get slightly less like walls, but maybe that's just my imagination because I'm so used to looking at it as a boarding actions, which is twice as big. But I mean, I think this is really interesting, very kind of clever, and it's great that they've done not just an Imperial terrain setting, that it's now Necrons, and there's scope to do an Orc one or a Tyranid one. I think that sort of is a fantastic concept, I think.
Yeah, there's an old video game called Space Hulk Tactics, I think is what it was called, and it was like the game of Space Hulk done again.
Yes,
and that had the ability to go into Elder Space Hulks, or I think they were Orc Space Hulk, because the default template.
Yeah, because they were all mashed up together.
Yeah. So I like almost like the idea that you could have. Again, even if it was just its own section of the board that was, you went from like Imperial style ones, and then all of a sudden, oh, hello, we've entered the Necron bit. Very weird. But yeah, I mean, and again, this stuff at a glance looks potentially more user friendly than the boarding actions terrain, just because of how they've designed the way it goes together. It looks like you're just going to be able to kind of push them together, and it hopefully will work. Which is very promising. Hopefully. Again, having, mucked around with the boarding action stuff, it looked great in principle, but wasn't great in practice. Let's see what happens with this. But I love that. The Necron's kill team has got a really cool hero character, and then some relatively underwhelming thralls, really interesting weapon platforms. So they've almost got like Biovore-esque Necron constructs that have got the guns mounted on their kind of heavy carapace backs.
Yeah. The tomb crawlers, they are. They're definitely my favourite bits of the Necron range.
I'm not mad keen on these little frawly things. The what are these things called?
Warriors.
These little goobers. Sorry, what are they called?
The warriors.
Just warriors.
Which is odd because you've obviously got Necron warriors normally.
Oh, they said the names above their heads. I didn't even realise. So you got the reanimator, the accelerator. Yeah, but the Geomancer looks cool. That's not an established. That's a new Geomancer model, isn't it?
I think they said it was a female character.
Oh, cool. Well,
which is odd because the weird bit below its head feels like a Egyptian style beard. Like, I always assumed they were like stylized beards, so I was like, oh, that's odd. But
ladybeard,
ladybeards, yeah,
ladybeards. That's how they are. Good on them. But yeah, so the Necrons are cool. The Necron terrain is cool. Although I say the Necrons are cool, some of it's weird, but it's overall cool. But yeah, obviously because this is Warhammer 40,000 and people love Space Marines, the star of the show is obviously going to be the Deathwatch kill team. A lot of really cool emotive faces. Obviously, the Deathwatch colour scheme is super awesome. All they've basically done is gone, hey, I hear you like Deathwatch. The veteran kit's cool, isn't it? How's about we give you a new Primaris version of that? And it's basically 1-to-1. Did you like Deathwatch veterans? Yes, I did. Very much. Thank you. Cool. Here they are again, but Primaris-y.
But also in different marks of armour.
Also in different marks of armour, and that's also very positive because what is clearly being demonstrated here is that they've got new shoulder pads for Phobos, which they've never had before. So any of you who have assembled Deathwatch kill teams using current Primaris ranges know that for the Phobos arms, you've either just painted the standard Phobos armour silver, or you've put a standard, Space Marine shoulder pad over the Phobos armor, and it always didn't look quite right. So it's cool that they've given us new Phobos shoulder pads, and they've also seemingly given us new aggressor / heavy armor style shoulder pads as well, because we've got a heavy intercessor wielding a heavy bolt rifle, another one wielding the heavy Infernus bolter, and then another one again wielding the frag launcher. So it's really cool to see them embrace the idea that heavy intercessors carry heavy weapons. I feel like that's how it should have been all along, but it's really cool to see it there.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the sculpts.
Really? I am surprised.
Yeah, I think I'm not. I think the poses, some of the poses, are a bit generic. The heavy, like the sort of the targeter unit on the backpack on the Gravis ones is just so overblown and massive. I'm not a fan of that. The head sculpts, I'm not a fan of a lot of them. Some of them are cool though. And I think one of the issues I don't like is that obviously they've got moulded on icons on their right shoulder pads. And actually what that does is it sort of weirdly bulks out that shoulder pad bigger than how you normally see it. Whereas when it's a transfer, it's like perfectly flat. And I prefer that aesthetic over this one.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the reasons why it's making me not like them. Concept-wise, I love them. I love the fact that they've got the servo skulls on a couple of the guys floating around. I think that's very cool, and it's great to see some of the sort of Mark 8 style, like really high gorgets on the torsos. But yeah, just some of them just aren't really wowing me in a way that I would have hoped, basically.
Yeah, I think
like the shield is terrible. I think, for example,
I quite like the.
It's not as good as the classic one.
I quite like, although I would have preferred the shield to be a bit bigger. But yeah, on the whole, I sort of see where you go. Some of the head sculpts for sure. I'm hopeful that you could just put helmets on every one of them. I mean, obviously you can if you just got spare bits kicking around, which is obviously a thing. But it's cool that they've kept so many of the weapons in place. You've still got the Super Thunderhammer. You've got the I forget the terminology for it, but the Phase Blade, the Necron sword.
Oh, yes.
Cool.
Yeah. No, I think it is something like a Phase Blade.
Yeah.
They've taken a lot of the kind of classic elements of the kill team.
Now, here's a question, though. Do you think that with this, do you think it's likely... Because I think it's happening anyway. I think in 11th edition, Deathwatch are just going to become this unit as just a unit, and that's the end of them. And if you want to paint a Space Marine army as a Deathwatch army, but it's just a Space Marine army, then you can. But it's basically going to be like, there is a specific Deathwatch squad, and this is it. And that's it now, everyone. No more Deathwatch army. I think
probably. I mean, I don't think you'll get all the different variants of kill teams that they had.
No,
you could see that this might be opening the door for that, to allow them to do that mix and match. But I sort of feel like it should be this. But I really like the classic veteran squad where it's just all in effectively like tactical guys. I would be happy with another squad that was just Primaris versions of them, as opposed to mixed armor. So you've got the choice of both, basically, which you currently still do because they still sell that kit.
By the way, I also do think that when they get around to revealing that they're doing tactical squads again, I do think we're going to just see the heavy intercessor armor be the default for the heavy weapons in the tactical squads as well.
I mean, I don't hate that idea. And I like that on this one you've got a regular guy with the Hellblaster. Like, he's cool.
Yeah,
so you don't need all special weapons to be... but things for like the heavy bolters and stuff sort of make sense to be on Gravis.
Well, of course, right? Because it's kind of what it's built for, you know?
Yeah.
It makes sense. But yeah, on the whole, I'm into it. I really like the terrain. A lot of the Necron stuff is cool, although there's a few ones that don't quite hit home. And Deathwatch is always cool. So, yeah, and again, it's good to see them in their rightful place in the game of Kill Team. I think this is a really unfortunate sign for their future in Warhammer 40,000 proper, but ultimately at the end of the day, you can obviously still just paint your stuff Deathwatch if that's what you want to kind of bring to life. But I dare say that the days of taking a Watchmaster, Captain Artemis, and all the things that you used to have access to is about to end. But I suppose
how dare they, Dan? I only bought that Imperial Agents box last year.
Well, indeed. Well, I'm sorry to say, mate, that is probably not a great investment. But, you have those miniatures forevermore,
Exactly. Yeah. To
anyway,
sit on the shelf.
Last thing of the things, because Lord knows the shareholders need to see those Space Marines. Otherwise, everyone gets a bit wobbly. It's like, you did a lot of Age of Sigmar there, Games Workshop. We're getting a bit nervous. Don't worry, lads. Have we got a treat for you? Here's a bunch of Space Marine captains and the promise of more Space Marine literature. Let's hope it's not like the weird 2019 conundrum where less than a year later all these supplements were rendered irrelevant. But yeah, at least in the immediate sense, we're getting new characters or old characters made new in some instances for the various Space Marine chapters that aren't, the ones that have their own supplement codexes, etc. None of these are actually successors, are they? They're all just mainstream, original Legion main chapter characters.
Yes, yeah, no, that's true.
So no Pedro Cantor yet, but one day maybe. So yeah, look, out of the gate, we've got a new sculpt for Vulcan Heston. Don't overly like the fact that they kept the character Vulcan Heston. Only just because of the fluff of the character is that basically a hero of the Salamanders takes on the name Vulcan and their surname or whatever their thing is next and goes on a magical quest to find gear. So the idea is that when Vulcan disappeared, lots of his stuff was left littering the universe. And the idea of Vulcan Heston...
Was it all his Saturnine Terminators?
Yes. Yeah, God, yeah. Wouldn't that have been great if they put him in Saturnine armour? That would have been absolutely hilarious. But anyway. But yeah, the idea is that the Vulcans, the people who took up the mantle, would go out and try and seek relics. And the idea is at this point that Vulcan Heston has found, or with the assistance of the prior Vulcans, has found loads and loads of this stuff. They haven't quite got all of it yet. And the idea is once they get all of it, it's said that maybe Vulcan will return. So they've got like the dragon scale cape and they've got all this other stuff. And the idea is that the Marine taking on the mantle of Vulcan wears all the gear. I guess it probably gets, trimmed to size for some reason, because the idea that a regular Space Marine could fit
it'd be quite big.
Yeah, they've probably retconned it since. But the weird thing is it's another weird example of Games Workshop just not being willing to move the narrative forwards or try new ideas. I raised this point when I first saw him, and the people I was with at the time was like, well, yeah, but then they have to come up with a new story for a new character. Who cares? Just keep it the same. Keep invested. I'm like, well, I care because I want the story to be interesting. Like, why is Vulcan Heston yet again still Vulcan Heston? Could it not have been Vulcan Smith? Or whatever it is. I don't know what the name could have been. But, yeah, that aside, the miniature's fine. I think the helmeted version is stronger than the helmetless version, although it's cool how it's got all the kind of cracky, stony kind of details on it. Yeah, Vulcan Heston used to be a really cool mini when he was a firstborn. He's still kind of cool now. I like him striding forwards. It's good, but not great. It's like, it's a very solid miniature. I imagine when you see it in person, because I'm guessing he's on a 40mm base, he really seems to fill it out. So I'm imagining it's going to be an impressive thing to see in reality. But as photographed here, it feels all right, not exceptional. I mean, what's your vibe on Vulcan Heston, mate?
I'm not really a fan. This is definitely the weakest one out of the sets.
I don't think he's the weakest one. Yeah. I think he's the second weakest one.
Well, we're going to have to agree to disagree. I just don't like it. Really anything about it. Like, I don't like the old style mark of helmet. Obviously, it makes sense probably from a lore perspective, but I just don't like the look of it. Don't like the jumbo flaming backpack. I don't like the pose. I don't like the spear. I don't like. I weirdly just don't like anything about it. Like, I mean, weirdly, I would actually say the one good thing about it probably is the bare head, which is the one bit that you don't like.
So I don't like it. I just prefer the helmet more. But as we've already established, I like the old school helmet more.
No, fair. Yeah, I'm just not a fan, but I'm not a Salamanders fan personally,
no,
so
fair.
It's not for me.
Fair. Next, we got a new sculpt for Lysander. Lysander is super iconic, awesome geezer. The captain of the first company, so not the chapter master. Noting as well that Vulcan Heston is not the chapter master of the Salamanders. So yeah, Lysander, first captain of the Imperial Fist, has a new swanky mini. Again, pretty much pound for pound, note for note, the same mini as he was before, updated in bigger stature. I imagine he looks amazing in person. The hammer looks ever so slightly too big, but I suppose that's not a fair complaint because a big hammer's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean it's a good mini. I think it works. I think, you know, the way that they photographed it, the yellow looks very, very overbearing. Like he's very yellow, but then he's, you know, he's Lysander.
Imperial fists.
Yeah, exactly. That's
what they are.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is one of those things where the mini looks wrong. Personally, at least at a glance, I don't like this miniature as much as I like the Centurion, Praetor, whatever it is in Horus Heresy parlance, the Captain Forge World mini they did for Horus Heresy. The Horus Heresy.
Oh, that was quite a good one, I remember.
Yeah,
was that the one that they immediately got rid of and replaced with a different sculpt that was similar but a different pose?
Yes, weirdly. I think you're right. I think there was a weird limited version of it, wasn't there, for some reason?
Yeah. This one's really cool. It's cool. Still not my favourite, but it's a lot better than the Salamanders one. I like the shield, the hammer, a bit big, but that's just 40k for you. I like the sort of really utilitarian look of the armour and the sort of the armor plates that are hanging down from his crotch between his legs. I think that's all really cool.
Yeah.
No,
I'm into it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
Good.
It is cool. Next is the Raven Guard, a new character, or maybe a character that people know about who have read all the books and things about Raven Guard. I haven't, so I don't know, but he is now the chapter master of the Raven Guard, taking over from Shriek, who apparently was forced into the role, didn't fancy it, and gave it up. The thing that's so weird about this mini is how it's basically just Shrike again. It's almost like they went, I've done a new sculpt for Shrike, so we already have a Shrike. But this one's better. We'll just say it's a new character and call it a day.
Right. I mean, but you were just complaining that Vulcan Heston wasn't someone else. And they've done just the thing that you want.
Exactly, and I'm in favour of that for sure. Like, that is a positive, right? I'm just saying that...
I think that's really good.
But what I'm saying, though, is that... I suppose here's the thing. If this character, if the chapter master of the Raven Guard has to take on this particular loadout, that's cool, right? Like, the idea of, like, saying, okay... Because with me, with Dante, I always say they should kill off Dante and put someone else in its place. Because Dante's war gear is the anointed...
Oh, it's just his armour, right?
Dante's war gear is the war gear of the Grand Master, chapter master of the Blood Angels. So whoever becomes the next chapter master of the Blood Angels will have to wear the same golden armour and have the same loadout, because that's kind of the tradition of how that works. Although, again, who knows how that technically works these days. But that's what I asserted was the tradition. So if that is the case for this guy, where it's like, oh, you're now the new chapter master, and the chapter master uses lightning claws and carries a pistol and has all the same stuff, basically, that Shrike has.
Right, yeah.
That makes sense to me, but it's weird when Shrike's still in there to have another character that has all the same stuff that Shrike has. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, what is that, you know... it's just an odd decision to be like, okay, Shrike still exists. There's a big Shrike should have just died, and because that would have made more sense. And then you could basically go, do you like the Shrike Chapter Master mini more than this one? I don't know why you would, but if you did, carry on using that. That's your Chapter Master. But here's a new Chapter Master sculpt with a new character, and we've done the brave thing and killed off Shrike. Aren't we great?
Yeah. Well, what will be interesting is, will Shrike still be a playable character?
Yes, but
in just his new role.
Yeah.
Or because it feels like they've probably done it the best way to appease fans, because that sculpt isn't that old. So they've probably gone, well, we can't just kill him off because people will still want to play with that model because it's less than 10 years old, which, to be fair, is a good thing. Even though it's sort of brave to just kill off old characters, especially if they're like really old ones. So yeah, the fact that they could have just written him out and said, oh yeah, he's gone into the shadows, but he's not a playable model anymore. Again, I think that they've done the best of both worlds, while it is sort of, maybe not as brave as just outright killing him, but it still gives you a way to introduce a new character, push the story forwards, but not obviously killing someone off so you can't use that model again.
Yeah.
I think the model's really good. I think the sculpt's really cool. I think maybe the little John Woo style servo doves at the bottom is just a little bit too much, and if you took those off, the silhouette would be a bit stronger. But I sort of feel like for a character of his stature, he needs to have extra bits of gumph on him to sort of seem more special, I guess.
Yeah, but a lot of that's achieved by these kind of flowing, tabardie.
Yeah, it's the robes that are off on them.
Yeah. But no, I love it. I think they've done a great job with it. I think the thing, as I say, is the only thing that doesn't make any sense is how it feels quite evident that this is a updated sculpt of Shrike that has basically just been turned into another character because...
Oh, do you think they were just like, let's just rename him?
Yeah, I think that was what it came down to. I think basically and I think it was almost one of those things where they were like, that's too cool not to do, but we don't want to just do a new Shrike model. And again, when you go back and look at the old Shrike model, he's not very good. So, this is evidently... Because, again, and you could very easily... If Shrike had better rules, you could very easily run Shrike with this mini. Because they're the exact same thing. Like, there's nothing different about them whatsoever. And that's the only thing that's sort of odd about it. It's just like, okay. And I'm in favour of it, though. I'm definitely in favour of killing off characters and moving it forwards. In a way, I think that would have been the better thing to have done. If you couldn't buy Shrike anymore and this guy is the new Chapter Master, that's 2 thumbs up. As it is, it's a stunning sculpt, so it's already getting 2 thumbs up, but it's that weird thing where it's like a bit of a having your cake and eating it too situation, I suppose. But yeah,
it's interesting because actually the Shrike model looks more like sort of Phobos sort of style armor. Gosh, such a bad sculpt in comparison.
Oh yeah, no, it really is.
The way he's like sort of awkwardly stood on that barricade. Whereas this one feels like it harkens back to, weirdly, is it the Nighthaunt Primarch.
The Nighthaunt
from the Forge World range.
Oh, sorry, you mean the Night Lord?
So not Nighthaunt, Night Lords. Oh god.
Yeah.
The Night Lords Primarch. Kurz, like his sort of pose is very similar to this.
Yeah, it's very Kurz-esque, to be fair. I love it. This next one is, for me, the weakest of the minis, and it is the Iron Hands Var, Canuck Var. Where's Canuck Var? Is he a Chapter Master? Created Iron Captain of the Clan of Arananai. Cool, yeah, no, I don't dig it. I think it's bad. I think it's weird Terminator armor. I don't understand why his arm's out the way it is, because then you end up having to position the shoulder pad in a weird way and it looks odd. And his big power ball looks like he's operating a mangle. The whole thing looks terrible. This is awful. Like, I understand why you're not keen on Vulcan Heston, but how can you say that Vulcan Heston is worse than this mess.
Do you know what? In hindsight, you might be right, but I think the thing that the one saving grace is the two little servoed skulls are cool. Like, they are objectively awesome.
One of them's projecting a hologram, and it looks so stupid.
I like that as a concept, but I just don't think it
very
really
badly
executed, particularly.
Yeah.
It's of the Dark Angels. What was it called? Vengeance. Thingy-bob.
Right. Okay.
You know the old terrain piece that had the missile launcher in.
Oh, the
Dark Angel statue.
Sanctum, whatever. I can't remember what it was called now, but yes, I can forget what. It's a bad sculpt, Phil. This is, I mean, bad times for the Ironhands.
The weapon is cool as a concept, but I just don't think it looks great. And
which weapon are you talking about? The Stormbolter?
No, the weird maul thing.
Oh, the Mangle.
The Mangle, yeah.
It looks like he's bashing his washing.
Yeah, I think you're right. The arms don't look great when you can see into the underside of the shoulder pads.
Yeah.
There's been a few other sculpts where they do that because they're like lifting a sword above the head and stuff. It just looks odd because it's like technically that's how it would look, but it just doesn't work from a sort of design point of view. And I don't think the paint job's particularly great on this, or maybe
really
it's just a bad sculpt. But
the face honestly, looks terrible.
I think you're right. This as out of the two looks worse, but I like the two servo skulls.
Fine. Iron Father Ferios is a better sculpt than this.
Fair.
Whereas, like, old Shrike versus new Sharn is a much better sculpt than Shrike, but yeah, Ferios is a much better sculpt than Var. And then the last one is a Khan, specifically Sobadan Khan, who is, of course, Phil, because he is a captain of some note, travelling around on a jet bike again, and oddly, a jet bike that looks awfully familiar to the ones that lots of people have been 3D printing.
Yes, I thought that too. It does have a very... I've seen one that was Kit Bash that looked similar, and then I've seen I can't remember his name, but I know a guy that does Primaris grav bits to go on bikes, and it's very similar to that. But phenomenally, I think this is awesome. This is probably the best one out of a lot. Like, I really love it. This is what Outriders should have been with grav, not with wheels. I really hope they sort of replace them with more of this, basically. Yeah. Like the roll bar cage type thing that's on the front, which I guess is a bumper, really ties in distinctly with the Primaris range. As do the grav plates, it looks super meaty. I love the little Gatling cannon on the front. The actual model itself, like the guy's phenomenally like posed. The face sculpt, fantastic. Cape, brilliant. Like, no notes. This is just an awesome mini. Oh,
it's incredible. My only gripe with it is that it's a White Scar specific captain choice. I really would have loved this to be like generic.
Just generic. I sort of see what you mean, because I was almost like, could I do a... Here's the thing. I've never been a fan of the Outriders, but if they did them all like this, I would be quite tempted to pick them up for my tools, because I think this is much cooler.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see if there's like a helmeted version, so it could be easier to kind of convert it. Because actually, if you take off, if you fill in the little sort of embossed detail at the very front that's in gold on the bike, and take off the trophies, and you did a head swap, there's, other than the spear, there's nothing really saying White Scars. Obviously, you've got like the emblems on the his armor, but you can just take those off with a knife.
Yeah. I think this
obviously it would mean you're locking yourself to the White Scars chapters from a game point of view, but yeah, it's cool, mini.
Really cool. I love it. I think it's phenomenal. It's going to inspire a lot of people to collect White Scars, and so they should. I think it's freaking cool.
Well,
the only thing as well, though, is the weirdness that you're going to then have this guy alongside a load of outriders that are not really like this, and that's the weird thing. And again, when you've got like the chaplain model on bike, which by the way, stunning. I went back and looked at that mini after looking at this thing just to remind myself, and I was like, oh, that chaplain is amazing. Like, I don't think...
Oh, yeah, the chaplain outrider guy is really cool.
So good. And that's the thing. It's like, in a way, I understand why they went with the jet bike on this guy, and I'm not saying they shouldn't have, but I hope that they give us a captain on bike using the bike aesthetic that leans into this kind of idea, but does it in a more kind of generic way and kind of fun, channels some of the energy of this, but also the chaplain on bike. Because both those kits, this and that, are phenomenal. I love it. I think it's absolutely stunning. And I think there's the thing, it's a great win for Marines. I think, the new Raven Guard guy is super awesome. I think this bike is really cool. And then Lysander kind of, hits all the right kind of design cues. Var, the Iron Hand Geezer, is really bad and really stands out because of how bad he is. And Vulcan Heston is pretty underwhelming. But yeah, I would say on the whole, I think this is a pretty big win for Marine players who obviously, need all the help they can get, because Lord knows they don't get nearly enough support from GW. Also as well, by the way, the combat patrol for the Iron Hands as well. Oh, that's a bit of a miss as well.
I've seen that one memed quite a bit with the double... the
double guns.
Marine on... Yeah, the sort of sentry gun. The
White Scar box is like must buy. Like I literally, when you look at the White Scar box, you're like, so I get the new cool, amazing character in the White Scar box, and I get an Impulsor that's just generally useful to have, and 3 Outriders, which obviously synergize with the character, and 5 Assault Intercessors who are just generally cool. That's good value, just because obviously you're getting the character if nothing else. I
think the Imperial Fist one's pretty good as well, because that's basically a box of stuff that I don't own but would quite happily have.
Yeah, the Imperial Fist one's good. Salamanders isn't great, but it's passable. I'm not a huge fan of that. But no, yeah, basically the White Scars one, chef's kiss. The other ones, they are what they are. But yeah, there you go. So we got some Space Marine stuff to round it out. And that basically gets us to the end of all the reveals. How did you feel about it, Phil, when you were watching this Friday night? Did you get a little tingly sensation in your body?
I thought, one, it was the worst possible time to do a live stream, because it's 7 o'clock on a Friday. To me, that's like family time. So after a couple of hours, I had to be like, sorry, I'm going off to just watch this in isolation, huddled, watching it. Overall, I thought it was impressive with the amount of stuff that they had on show, but I wasn't very particularly wowed by enough. The Chaos Dwarfs was just so, I don't know, I don't think I had necessarily the best reaction to it. It was just mixed feelings, and the feelings are getting better. The Space Marine stuff I thought was really phenomenal. The Kill Team stuff I really liked, most of the aspects of it. But some of the other stuff like the Votann I just didn't like, so I was a bit like, nah. Just came away a bit, I don't know, neither impressed or underwhelmed.
That's fair. For me, I think as well, the context of the time, because I was at Warhammer World playing Age of Sigmar while these reveals were happening. I was midway through a game of AOS, and I kind of came at them halfway through. People kept showing me quick images going, oh, look at that, that's cool. So there was a little bit more hype and enthusiasm, and then conversely from yourself, because I was there with other people who were all very passionate about it, I think we all kind of hyped each other up around it, so I think that kind of communal element gave me more of an upside on things. The Votann, I don't care, but if you like that kind of thing, good for you. But personally, I think that's a big miss. Tomb Kings, great, love them, really, really happy with that. Flesh Eater Court and Nighthaunt, I just think they've done a good job with the minis for that. Looking forward to seeing the rules. I know the Falconer isn't quite on point, but I love the absurdity of it. The Helsmiths of Hashut, the Chaos Dwarfs, I love them. The underworld stuff with the little goat men and more Chaos Dwarves is pretty cool as well, although I'll probably never get around to playing it.
They were strong sculpts.
Yeah. Legions Imperialis, good to see the Mastodon coming into the range. Love the Mastodon. Really, really iconic, cool vehicle. Great to see them adding stuff to that. The MkII Assault Marines, they're fine. I was expecting a little better. Scouring's exciting. I'm intrigued to see how that goes. Because actually, to be fair as well about the Scouring, and we didn't say this at the time, but I do think it's one of those elements of the 40k lore that isn't as well documented as the Heresy. The Heresy has become this very particular thing, and the Scouring is kind of really seminal, but maybe it will be fun to see how they explore that. The helmet is so-so. If you like helmets, then you might like, getting a Space Marine one. Really excited for Kill Team. I think that stuff looks great. And then the Marines are a bit of a mixed bag. So overall, I would say, for me, I'd say there were more hits than misses. I came away pretty excited about all of it. So yeah, for me, I think it was a pretty solid reveal. I think the highlights for me were the Space Marine characters and Chaos Dwarfs, even though I sort of have mixed feelings about Chaos Dwarfs. But there was still a lot to like in them. One thing I will say as well to the production that the community team did as well, really respect the fact that they had the miniatures on hand and they showed them to you. I really liked that. Like when you started,
I thought that was very brave of the heavy metal team to let some presenters even risk touching them.
Well, I assume
they,
given a certain level of leeway with that. But I think the only thing I would say, and I'm pretty sure they didn't do this, I think it's always good in much the same way as they do with their websites and things. Like when you're showing Space Marine minis, you should probably always have a Primaris Marine in shot for context. Like you need that kind of contextualization for scale. Because obviously things scale differently to each other. So I think having that anchor point would have been cool. So if there was just a Primaris Marine in shot against the 40k minis and then maybe a Stormcast for the AOS minis, I think that would have helped a lot.
Yeah, fair. That's probably a good idea.
Yeah. But there you go. That was the reveals and a little bit about me going to an AOS tournament here and there, sprinkled about. Just for that, Phil. I think it was good. Overall, well done, GW. Continuing to bring the hits. Excited to see what's around the corner. But for us specifically, that will be another 5-star review. So we're going to get onto that via transitional noise. But before I do that, I'd like to obviously give Phil a chance to say anything before I do it, because it sounds like I'm just kind of railroading this right now. So is there anything else you want to say before we move on, mate?
No, I'm good.
There you go. I read the room well. I just, I should have just gone with my gut. Anyway, transitional... Exactly. Oh, sorry, mate. What was that?
No, just carry on.
All right. Transitional noise. All right, everyone, we're done with episode 211, and that can only mean that we're going to do this, the 5-star review bit, which comes from the Prankmaster, Phil. The Prankmaster 56, which either denotes that their age is 56 or that they were born in the year 1956, in which case they would be a little bit older. What's the maths on that? I suppose they'd be 71, I guess.
Or it could be there's 55 other Prankmasters beforehand, and he is the 56th one in line to inherit the title of the Prankmaster.
Absolutely. It's some kind of ranking system similar to that is conducted in the anime Afro Samurai.
If you say so.
Or even the video game franchise No More Heroes.
Or the Popes. Or kings.
I don't know. Have they got 55 popes waiting in the wings, ready to battle out to the death to pick the overarching new one?
I mean, that is kind of how it works. Yeah.
Yeah? Is that how it works with the popes? Do they fight to the death to determine the new pope?
I mean, they should do.
Well, there you go. I need to spend more time understanding the ways of Catholicism.
You need to watch Conclave. It'll explain it all in that.
No. Henry VIII fought and died for my right to ignore all that silliness.
Fair enough.
Exactly. I am a C of E lad, and I will, I will rock that,
make the most of it.
Degenerate. Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, this comes from the Prankmaster 56, and they have said amazing podcast, 5-star, which is 5 stars. I can talk today, which of course a prerequisite appearing here in the 5-star review. And thank you very much, Prankmaster, and thank you very much to everyone who's left us a 5-star review. Again, it's a good opportunity right now because we are kind of getting to the end of what we've got. I've seen a lot of new ones come in though, so that's super awesome, but not enough that I would suggest that we are, not going to get around to talking about you in 10 or more episodes time. So, it's
getting quick.
It's a good time. Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, what they've said, Phil, is this is just an amazing podcast. It feels cozy and something nice to listen to when painting or anything really. I can't not recommend this. It's in no way hating or loving on GW, and it's just perfect. 2 blokes being blokes and talking about good old Warhammer. I mean, those that have met us, Phil, would definitely say that we are the blokiest of blokes they've ever bloked a bloke upon.
I mean, well, yeah, we're lads. Yeah, blokes. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, down the pub. Come on, lads. I mean, that's us. I mean, we're 2 men with beards.
With the modern millennial blokes, I suppose, in that regard.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, as in, we don't really
a sad
go down
impression
the pub.
of what was, what came before, seeking some kind of collective solitude and or companionship through small toy soldiers. Yeah, absolutely. That's how it goes. But thank you very much, Prankmaster. You're an absolute gent, or an absolute blokey bloke like us also. Asserting, of course, that you are yourself a blokey bloke. Who knows? I guess so, because the nature of the language suggests so. But who knows? You could be, as a Prankmaster, any number of, can't talk, any number of things. There we go. But anyway, thank you. We appreciate it. You're an absolute legend. And again, thank you to everyone who's also given us 5-star reviews before. You're all great. But on this occasion, Prankmaster 56 is especially great. And to elaborate on that further, it is, of course, Philip.
Thank you, Prankmaster. What an excellent 5-star review. Your review itself gets 5 stars for being so great for us. We hope you've enjoyed that episode. It's a hot topic one. Did we give too much hate? Did we give too much love to Games Workshop? Only you can tell us. Hopefully we threaded that needle quite successfully. I'm going to deduct 1 small point from your review because there was no pranking in it. I was expecting a prank. Unless, of course, you think we're terrible, and that in itself is the prank.
To be fair, that would be pretty excellent. There you go. You have, spun your jape successfully, sir. Do people still say jape anymore? Maybe that's where our blokey status comes from. Who knows? Anyway, thanks so much. Cheers, everyone. That was episode 211, done and dusted. Looking forward to talking to you again in the next one, whenever that may be. Not too long, I imagine. Cheers all. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.